Hold up. Wait a minute.
Bruh.
Did you hit the like button? Drop some rabbits in the chat. Let's go.
Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat, hit chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. If you want the tea, come see me. Rabbit hole is the place to be for real news, not fake news. Celebrity news, breaking news around the clock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock, I rock, I rock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock. Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat, chit chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. True crime is my specialty. Exposed in the industry. Unsolved mysteries. Sticking to reality. Fair use commentary. Talking about cults. Trying to get results. Exploring cults. Exploring. Researching. Debunking. Investigating. Being nosy. Super nosy. Being messy. Being shady. Rabbit hole news. That's me. The chick with ADHD. Unmedicated. But quite educated. Hit that like. Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Hit that like. Hit that like. Let's go. Let's go. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shout out to everybody in the chat. My goodness, happy. It is Friday. Oh, my God. Friday. Girl, I got to get this mic fixed. Friday, August 7th. Yo, guys, like the year is going by so quickly, guys. We have so much to talk about today. Welcome, welcome, guys. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. By the way, we are live on X and YouTube. Shout out to the people from the X. Y'all are crazy on X. I really try to hide myself on X, but I'm like, well, we'll just go live on X too. Why not? We paid for the check mark. I think it's crazy that you have to pay for a check mark for the record. I think it's dumb. Just saying. But how are you guys? Oh my gosh. Shout out to Kanisha into the chat. Shout out to the members. Tina, member for 28 months. Shout out to you, Tina. Thank you for your long time support. Love. Thank you. Appreciate you. Is it Alicia? Thank you, Alicia. Thank you for the gold coins. Thank you for making it rain with those gold coins. Thank you. When I say make it rain, I feel like I need to pull out like a stripper pole or something. I'm sorry. Totally inappropriate. Not a family show, but anyways, I should not say make it rain. Me Blondie, member for 6 months. Me Blondie, I know it's been longer than that. For sure. Thank you. You like it? Jazzy Jazz, thank you. Shout out to Me Blondie. Thank you, guys. You tired today? Man, me too. I don't feel like I got enough sleep. You said I kind of was like in the honestly, I was in the in the MySpace aesthetics. I said, it's like, don't worry, Rabbit, I got my pole. Vicky's like, please don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, so I was in the MySpace aesthetics. I said, let me bring back some MySpace aesthetics, And so I started thinking about all the, HTML or HMLT, whatever the hell the acronyms are, all those codes that we used to have, in the computer when we make little sparkly things, you had to make sure the music was playing right. So I went into the, thing to create something for me. And I said, I'm going to create myself a MySpace background theme. You said, I can't wait for it to come back. I'm so excited. My profile finna be lit. Well, somebody told me in the comments that there's this thing called Hey Space that's kind of like MySpace. And I said, what is Hey Space? There is a social media platform called Hey Space. And let me pull it out for y'all. I feel like I'm having some nostalgia. Look at this. Tell me that doesn't look like MySpace circa 2005, 2004. Look at this. What is this? The login is the same. The layout, it's instead of MySpace, it's called Hey Space. That's what it's called. So I'm like, well, who the cool new people, by the way, you can't even see their photos because clearly their HTML codes are not working. Okay, it's all like broken. Show this to a Gen Z and see if they have a heart attack. They'll be like, what is this crap? What is this? What is this? This is how your parents, got down online. Okay, this is how it got down on the MySpace. This is how it was. You show them their childhood. You said MySpace taught me the codes. Oh my God. And then I remember when they blocked MySpace. And so how could you get through MySpace? Yo, and I was thinking about this. I'm like, isn't that a crime when you're going through proxies to get to like into MySpace? You know how many there was one time where they like blocked MySpace at school. I can't tell you how many proxies I had to deal with to break in just to check my messages, just to check who was live. I think that was against the law. I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm not confessing to anything. I plead the fifth. I do. That's it. You said no, my millennial Gen Z and Sunny D back in the day. There you go. That's how you do it. It's called hey, this is Hey Space. It's not MySpace. But I wanted to show you guys the format is still the same for this website. Y'all can type it up. Type in Hey Space. He said, I'm not going until someone confirms Tom will friend you. Isn't Tom everybody's friend though, Vicky? Like, you could have one friend out of the whole place. And Tom, because I didn't want to make people mad, he was always up on my like top 8 or 10. Because I knew it was like, well, you just leave Tom to leave him there. Nobody knew Tom. He wore a white shirt and was sitting at a desk. It looked like he was like in college or something like that because it was like behind a whiteboard. You said Tom was your top 8. Tom was your top 8, girl. I'm like, well, I mean, I wonder what the layout is going to look like now that we have this situationship happening, because I have to kind of wonder. Well, let's get it together, you guys. Stop the millennial talk. See, I was looking at aesthetics. I said, I need to start doing like millennial aesthetics. That would be cute. Anyways, let's talk about somebody that TMZ and everybody's dragging. I guess I didn't know. Well, I should have known, because there's like all kinds of communities on YouTube, right? There's a ghost hunter community. We've talked about ghost hunter. Y'all remember that one guy whose wife was like, hiring to put a hit on him, and that was a big deal. And I forgot his name. Y'all forgive me. But his wife, they were like together, and the wife put like a hit on him. Okay. And that was from the ghost hunter show too, right? And then she put the hit on, she was talking to the guy who was like the guy that like killed his parents too in Florida. So it's like a huge case. Yeah. So another situation happening with the ghost hunter people, I guess, and Mr. Matt Rife is being dragged in the community. So allegedly, Matt Rife may not be a specter of spirits, but he's now in the crosshairs of ghost hunting community because he told a paranormal expert with autism to go K himself. Now, I know the guy's like a comedian. Matter of fact, I think he's supposed to be performing in my state this weekend or something like that. I saw something. And probably not right now would be the season to do all that. You said, I don't know, Ghostbusters. There you go. It's probably not the time to do that right now. You know what I mean? Because it's like there's a lot of stuff First of all, don't ever tell anybody that, period. But yeah. So I was like, well, what did he say exactly? Sir, you are a lifeless D-bag. Okay, this is people responding to Mr. Matt. Please remove yourself from this earth. Absolutely nobody's reading your novels in these comments. You do not matter to anybody. The event has already sold thousands of tickets. Now watch as I block you and you fall back into non-existence. Now this is an alleged comment with a response. Okay. A D-bag. And I don't know how they determine that I guess maybe he self-disclosed that he has autism and everything. And so this is why it came about. But I don't know. You said, watch your words. Watch your words. He said he bought that house with the doll. Remember that one situation a couple months ago? There was a guy who went over there. He was handling this doll. That it's like it was told to be, you keep that doll behind a case. And so it was like in a freaking haunted house, conjuring house. And this is like the Annabelle doll. So they had this house behind this glass. And apparently somebody was handling it. The person that was handling it, he died of a heart attack. Annabelle. I think that's it doesn't even look like Annabelle like the movie, but like it's like one of those creepy dolls, okay? So somebody touched it. So Matt decided him and another person actually went half and half on this house. I don't know why people are messing. Why are y'all messing with the paranormal? I mean, shout out to the paranormal community, but I just can't. I can't even handle living people. I don't want to deal with shout out to the spirits, but it's like I'm not trying to. Thank you. It was the Raggedy Ann one, right? It's the Raggedy Ann one. Yeah, it is creepy looking. So they kept this doll behind the glass and it literally said, don't touch. But you know how people are. You tell somebody not to do something and they do it anyways. You said, I watch it. I don't mess with it. I just don't. I said, I don't even like the people living. We're all a hot mess. I'm talking about like I'm aside from you guys. We are all a hot mess in this life, aren't we? Right? But it's like, why are we messing with dolls? I don't care. I just don't get it. You said Rife also calls people out from the audience. He does sometimes goes a little too far, but he is the new Don Rickles. Is that how you say that? People go to his concerts to be torn down by Matt. So y'all go to people's comedy shows to be humiliated. And you guys are worried about celebrities having these rituals, but y'all are going to them to go get humiliated. How does that work? I guess it's supposed to be funny. I don't know. You guys are crazy, but shout out to y'all. You said because we in the life, you said Halloween is bigger than Christmas. There you go. You said, I don't know. You said he did. But apparently, I mean, he's over here. He's being called out. But I just like for online commenting, bullying, and whatnot. And I do wonder what led up to this. But apparently, this is somebody well known in the ghost hunter community. YouTube has a lot of communities. There is the knitting community, the rock collection community, and there's boxing. There's all kinds of there's the people, the mukbangs, all kinds of people, right? So it's kind of one of those things where it's like you could find a place wherever. But to fight back and forth with people, just for what? Especially like people that are in the paranormal. I don't think so. God bless you. I'm good. You said that happened to my 13-year-old with Harry Potter Instagram. Old person on Instagram. You said she has autism and didn't understand that liking and commenting on everything. Oh, you name it, there's a community. That's right. There really is a community. You said, rabbit off topic, will you be covering the Brian Koberger? There's a really great channel here, Jewels of All Trades, that covers Brian Koberger very well. I covered it when it started, and I haven't even watched that. Like, I dropped off. So, I don't know. Maybe I might watch the documentary on Netflix and see what I think about it. Apparently, he's like, I'm not guilty. He changed his mind. When I found out he was a criminology student, I said, I'm an undergraduate in criminology. So what had happened that made you allegedly want to go that way if he's guilty, right? Because now he's saying that he might not be. I don't know. Peace over happiness. You said, nope, you're not messing with the paranormal. No. I just don't. But shout out to them. Shout out to everybody. I already have enough. Listen, it's enough with the living. I don't want to go to another community with the paranormal, but shout out to y'all. Okay, I'll have to watch it. Maybe we can watch it on Discord. Because I do have Netflix. We watched Soaked in Bleach yesterday. That was interesting. Some of y'all had never seen it, and y'all were watching it there. So maybe we'll watch it on the Discord. I don't know. Maybe this weekend. Thoughts, opinions, let me know. You love the knitting community? They're also creative. Oh, you did? Now, do they fight, though? Do they fight? That's the question that I have. Because I heard they fight. Yeah, people fight on these communities. Like, your yarn is not cute. What are you doing with that yarn? And then they kind of go back and forth and, bitch, your yarn is, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, y'all. Sorry. Totally going off on a tangent. But yeah, shout out to the paranormal community, but I will not be joining that. You guys are amazing. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. That being said, though, let's move on. And I mean, it sounds like that guy's being dragged online. Like I said, he has a comedy show in my state, I think this weekend. I won't be going, but yeah. Anyways, you said not the yarn is ugly, Rabbit. What do they drag it? They, every community fights, y'all. Every community fights. Okay. You said poly blend silk. Oh, you think you better than me because you got the poly blend. Girl, I got the fluffies. I crochet with my fingers. See, is that how it goes? Is that how the back and forth goes? Stop. Let me stop. I'm going to be dragged for this. And watch their video in the yarn community, and I'm being dragged for making fun of shit. Let me stop. Forgive me. Totally don't mean what I'm saying. And yeah. Anyways, shout out to everybody in the chat. I came to the room with your yarn is ugly. All right, y'all. Stop distracting me, okay? Stop. You guys are fired, by the way. Y'all are not doing a good job in reminding me to stay hydrated. I've already failed a couple times this week with my water bottle, and I'm trying not to. But anyways, so let's talk about this interview that apparently happened. This is Keefe D's lawyer. I didn't know he took the case pro bono. I was like, huh? I found out this during the week. So this is Keefe D's lawyer who decided, now mind you, we got this trial happening next week, okay? 10 o'clock. Now I have an appointment later on, but I should be able to join in the morning, and then I might have to dip out early on the 10th, but we'll be live on the 11th and every day after that, depending on how long. And we're going to see what we can get as far as information to give live updates. We'll try. But that being said, though, I didn't know that he had a pro bono attorney. Apparently this is his attorney. What do y'all think? You said, I can't even remind myself, Rabbit. Well, y'all are doing me wrong. You say you're going to start a fan page. It's an ASMR page where I build IKEA furniture with my feet. Wait a minute. You're going to start a YouTube community, not a fan page, a YouTube community. It's going to be an ASMR community where First Liberties Podcast is going to build furniture with his feet. There's a lot of people that got like shout out to I'm live on X. Shout out to the X community. They got some people over there that got like some feet fetishes. You probably could get some followers there. You don't even have to show your face. You could totally get some like feet fetish people that'll follow you for Liberties. Yeah, just make sure you get like a cute little, what is it? A pedicure. Like, don't be coming out here with some like ugly toes and, some hairy, don't be doing that. That's just too crazy. You said for Liberties, you about to make bank. I'm serious. A lot of these OnlyFans models, they be making money off of their feet pics. I'm tempted because it's not like I have to show my face with my feet. All right. I'm not, you know what? Let me stop my ADHD. I need medication. Yeah. You keep your crusty, toes cleaned. All right. You said, checking, make sure I'm on the right YouTube. Now with that, before we segue to our main topic, let me give you this educational content disclaimer, because at the end of the day, we are educational content. Hello, everyone. Please note that this broadcast is strictly for educational, documentary, scientific, and artistic purposes. It falls under the EDSA. While the themes, imagery, or discussions may touch upon some graphic, sensitive, or challenging topics, the context is entirely analytical and educational. This stream does not encourage, promote, or glorify any kind of behavior or any acts, but rather provides critical analysis and historical documentation. In particular, we talk about a range of topics that fall under EDSA. Thank you for watching, guys, and make sure you hit the like button. Because there's got to be something very scientific about ugly feet. Shout out to y'all, okay? First Liberties Podcast, you let me know how that adventure goes. Shout out to y'all. Okay. All right, y'all. Get it together because we are about to give some commentary to this interview. Make sure I got the closed captions on. Y'all let me know what you guys think. Okay, here we go.
I appreciate his music and his lyrics.
All right. Well, Mr. Michael Sam, thank you for joining us. We are just a few days away from this trial. So before we get into the nitty-gritty details, tell me, were you a Tupac fan growing up?
I am a Tupac fan, so it's not a word, it is a am. I appreciate his music and his lyrics. I think his lyrics are great.
Yeah. So what was your reaction when you kind of were handed this case now 30 years after his death?
Well, it's one of those things where I obviously wasn't planning on it. I had received a phone call from one of my friends who was an attorney who had informed me that the previous attorney was withdrawing from the case and had asked for my help to take over the case. I did not know who Keefe D was. I just didn't keep up with it. being a criminal defense attorney for like 25 years, the last thing I want to hear is more work, right? So I don't want to hear about other people's cases. I don't want to, I don't follow.
You know, I think it's a good thing that he didn't know who Keefe D was. Like, he could recognize Tupac's music, right? Because he didn't want to, yeah, he said Tupac. Tupac. Actually, there's one time in middle school, there was a girl who said, "Who's Tupac?" I just moved from California to the state, right? And so I'm like, did you just say Tupac? Anyways, let me stop. Clearly she had never heard the music before, but mistakes happen. I think this is a good idea that he's never heard of Keefe D, because it's like, okay, well, I don't really know who this person is or the notoriety behind him or anything like that. I think that then he'd have to learn on his own, right?
News for that reason. I don't typically try to stay away from like true crime episodes and things, because it's like listening to my work, right? And so I had been at that particular point a little bit bored, because I had stopped my criminal defense practice the year before and I was doing more traveling. And it sort of came at that time where I didn't have much going on. The firm that we do, a personal injury firm now, it's a boutique litigation firm. And so we're very happy with where we're at. And this thing just fell into my lap. And I looked at the case, I looked at the evidence that was presented at that time. And I really believe in Keefe's defense, that, he didn't do it. So as a result, I took on the case. So I've taken it on pro bono.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah.
That's not what she really means. That's not what she's thinking. Oh, that is interesting is not what she's thinking. She's thinking, what the hell are you what were you thinking? But hey, man, everybody's got to have a lawyer, But that's, she's not really telling you what she thinks. I could tell by her body language. I'm totally speculating here. You said, yeah, he can totally go into this fresh eyes. I think it's good that he never really heard who Keefe D was, right? He didn't really watch a whole lot of TV shows. I mean, Keefe D has been a name out there for many, many, many years, Yeah, so let me know what y'all think.
Well, talking about getting the case handed over to you because the previous attorney, Mr. Draskovich, had stepped out of it. What were some of the challenges that you faced head on, knowing that you were, let's say, the third attorney to take on this case?
So sometimes when you have a case where there's multiple attorneys that have been on it before you, it's usually a sign that maybe that you have a client who isn't managing expectations well or has issues getting along with people in general. I've never found that to be of Keefe. And what then? Keefe meaning Dwayne Davis. Okay. I call him Keefe. His family calls him Keefe. It's one of those things. And so I met with Keefe first time, very pleasant man. I've met with his family, very good people. I attended his father's funeral in Compton, California. It wasn't Compton, it was California early on. Met his family, and they're all just normal, hard.
Yeah, Compton is in California. He said, yeah, here in Vegas. But that's what I'm saying. It's like he's taking it pro bono, right? You said, I think that does make him an impartial person to the defense. I would think that it's a good idea, especially if he's taking it. You said pro bono is wild. Well, is it though? Because there is no expectation of payment, right? But ultimately, if he does win this case, it'd be like, whoa, he got his client free off of pro bono. And, I mean, it could be very good. Either way, it's good because it's like it gives them, I guess, a exposure one way or another. But also, I mean, if he truly believes that, his client is innocent, of course, it must feel good, right? To be representing someone that you believe is innocent or that you have to represent. I don't know.
People. And so it wasn't the issue of him not being the type of person that would get along with people. It was just more of, I think on some level, finances for these other attorneys, as well as just juggling schedules. No one could really devote the time and attention that Keefe's defense needed for this type of case.
And for those of our viewers who are not up to date with this, Mr. Dwayne Davis has gone through a few attorneys. As I just mentioned, Mr. Draskovich was the last attorney. He had mentioned he was withdrawing because of a retainer issue. That could mean a lot of things. But you're saying that you took this case on pro bono, but the magnitude of the work that is going to go into this trial.
Countless hours. So when we started, I believe there was 2,000 pages of discovery. We are now up to, I want to say 14,000 pages of discovery. And so it's come not all at once, it's in dribs and drabs. And so we've been managing review of every page, determining what that page meant, whether it was relevant to our defense or not. And that takes time. In the meantime, we've also been doing research, interviewing people, going out to Compton, walking the streets where some of these events had occurred, and then talking to potential witnesses for our case, that kind of thing.
You're talking about a case that's like what, 30 years, right? 30 years. And if you look at the charge, right, and the special circumstance specifically on that gang member stuff, and I mean, all the people they're going to pull out and everything. I mean, the lawyer has his work cut out for him as a pro bono lawyer, right? I don't know if I believe him. He doesn't know who Keefe D is, but he's a Tupac fan. I knew he wasn't being genuine when he said Tupac. You're like, I'm already side-eyeing. You said, can't Suge Knight be made to testify? You can bring somebody to testify, but they also have the choice not to say anything. You know, they can do that. They can choose not to speak. And the way I see it is, to me, Suge Knight is about Suge Knight, right? So I don't think he's going to say anything that, you know, I just don't see it from him. A pretty self-absorbed guy. I mean, he's always kind of been that way, at least what he's shown. You said instead of a retainer, he has to be asking donations. Well, and that's the question that I have. It's like, they couldn't, I'm assuming the retainer, of course, that pertains to money. But they're like, well, don't get fixated on the retainer stuff. Okay. Imagine he thinks Tupac is Biggie. Oh, see. Now that would be a problem. There you go. He could plead the fifth. Only way he might talk is if they let him out. I could see, you know, Suge Knight being like, sure, I'll testify, but you cut it, you know, you cut your deal. Cause I think he's serving is it 20 to life or something like that? He's serving his current sentence, is at least Suge Knight is.
So what's nice about this is that I don't really have much of anything else going on. My two partners with the personal injury practice are phenomenal attorneys. So. And quite honestly, they've sort of have borne that weight of managing and running the firm and doing the work while I'm gallivanting along here doing the Tupac trial. So it's been a lot of hard work, and we've put a ton of hours. There's 4 of us in the team that are working basically 24/7 on this case from the very beginning in April. When I first took the case on, I refused to move the date for the trial. So the date had already been set by previous counsel for August 10th. I refused to move it because when I had looked through what I had in the beginning, I just didn't believe that Keefe should be in custody a minute longer than he needs to be.
And you were brought on just a few months ago.
April, I think.
Yeah, so that didn't give, from April to now, August 10th for a jury trial, that didn't give you a lot of time.
4 months. Yeah. 4 months to go through 30 years of paperwork and investigation and multiple jurisdictions. You're talking about Compton PD and LAPD and FBI. And I mean, there's all these different people that had some...
Vegas, all these people that leave, people that come and go. Oh my gosh.
You know, investigation into this case over that time period. Yeah.
So it's not your average murder case that we see in Las Vegas. Was it what led you to that decision of taking this on pro bono, comparing this to the work that you're putting in?
I did not want to be hemmed up for payment. I mean, to put it simply, you know, the problem is, and I understand the other attorneys' positions, right? They, if you're going to do a case like this, the state had already said that they're anticipating that their case in chief would be, you know, 4 to 5 weeks. On top of whatever long the voir dire or jury selection would be, on top of our case in chief if we were going to do it. I mean, that's a lot of time to spend away from the office and then spend away from making money for the office to keep the lights on and so forth. So I understand completely the economics of it. And by not being tethered to a financial expectation by the family or by Keefe, that allows me just to run free. And
so here's my question though. Then if this is the case, then like, because he's not billing for anything, right? There's nothing. So basically he's traveling, he's interviewing 4 months of work, research to not be compensated. I mean, listen, first of all, shout out to my wonderful lawyers, legal eagles, my JDs. Okay. Y'all are amazing. Cause like, let me tell you, when having a couple of friends and just noticing the work, and when you need one, and, you know, if you have those that are close to you that are, you know, friends, like, I mean, the knowledge, the encouragement, and all of that is just amazing. So to have somebody know that they're doing it pro bono, that's amazing. You know, shout out to them. It's just, but still, it's like, you can't dismiss the work. It takes a lot of work for them. Right. And so I hope that one way there is something that comes out for him, because it's a lot of work.
Just do it the way that I need to get it done. So,
wow. Yeah. You mentioned going back to Compton. How important is that for defense attorneys to really immerse themselves back to The scene, I know the shooting happened in Vegas, but as prosecutors had laid out even last week in court, this was a gang feud that started long before the killing of Tupac Shakur.
I think walking the sort of the neighborhoods of where, you know, these competing gangs, you know, existed side by side, it just tells you just how compact this whole thing was. I mean, the city of Compton is roughly 10 miles by 10 miles. And within that box, you have 52, 53 different sets of either Crip or Blood. You learn that, you know, if your parents move into Compton and they buy a house on a certain street, you move into that house, you're an associate by default of whatever the gang is for that street. The sets are set typically by the streets. Yeah. And so as a result, walking through Compton and seeing the houses and how close everyone lived, it's very helpful to get a sense of, you know, how it would have been back in the 90s. Yeah.
So Tupac Shakur, he was a upcoming star when he died. He was just 25 years old, but his legacy continued. He's a name that almost everyone has heard by now. Is that how much of that will play into the facts of this case when it comes to presenting it to the jury?
Well, obviously, I mean, Tupac's name and his legacy is always going to be the thing that draws people in, right? And, you know, the sad thing about Tupac's.
Well, let's be very real. The victim of the crime that's being brought forth is Tupac, right? And that's to me, it's like, is this because you're talking about 30 years later, right? But then I think about, if I were to think about like Selena's case, let's just say that we didn't know who killed Selena. And then we found out 30 years later that it was Yolanda and that she was still alive, right? We would want the same level of justice, right? But here it's I think what is so intriguing and complicating about this situation is that there's so many little nuances about this. That's what I heard too, Vicky, that the sister was going to be a witness. You know what I mean? Like there's just so many nuances with this one, because I can't tell you, and maybe my mind is just boggled by so much hearsay of this. And some of this hearsay came from direct law enforcement that were assigned to this case and what they brought to the table and what they said and what they investigated and what they did. So ultimately, the minute that Keefe D did his Alford plea, okay, and then he decides to get reckless and, you know, write this book and go on all these interviews. I mean, it sounds like it sounds like they were watching him for many, many years. And then suddenly, bam, they were waiting for the right moment to strike. Okay. But if that is the case, if he's not the shooter, but he was in the car, he could still be charged for that. But there's only 2 surviving witnesses to this event: Suge Knight and Keefe D. And Suge Knight isn't worried about, you know, he's a street guy. He's not worried about justice for Tupac. That's not his fight, right? It's a weird dynamic, because something just feels off. I don't know what it is, but it does.
Early death is, I think, a lot of people have tried to capitalize financially on it, which is, I think, a very sad thing. And that includes, quite honestly, Keefe's book, you know, the book that he written. So as a result of that, on some level, you know, people who are interested in Tupac, I think, you know, even someone like myself 30 years ago, you know, Tupac just had a thing. There was just a vibe that he had, and his music and his lyrics, I think, were phenomenal. I never really understood anything more than the albums and the music itself. But when you take over a case like this and you're learning more about his background, you're learning more about how he was raised, you learn more about what his intentions were in the future. All very beautiful things about Tupac. And I think those are the things that most people that knew him like that have sort of glommed onto and made that sort of a thing that will always exist in their minds. And look, at the end of the day, we want justice for Tupac. We want the person responsible for killing Tupac to be held accountable for their actions. And so as a result, yes, I can see why so many people have really sort of gravitated towards this case and really want to know about it.
Speaking of his legacy, how much it's impacted anyone who listens to rap or anything within the hip hop genre, or even if you don't, the Tupac's a name that you may have heard or will hear eventually. How are you expecting to have a jury that's going to remain completely impartial?
Well, every juror, potential juror who's asked,
like I said, not a lot of people can recognize Tupac. They just don't know. They might not know who Keefe D is, right? And I even gave that example last time. They might not know who. They might know that he died in the shooting, but there isn't a whole lot of like, you'd really have to kind of get into the nuances of it to understand. So can they get a jury in that area that's impartial? I think so. I think that they can. There's a lot of people that live in that area.
Questions are always asked. The one question is, can you be fair and impartial?
Oh, and don't forget, they're going to be partially sequestered, which I don't know what that means. If one of my legal eagles in the chat can let me know, what does partially sequester mean? Partial sequestration. I think that's what the legal document said. I don't know what that means.
To both the defense as well as the state of Nevada. And if you say no, then obviously you can't be on a jury. If you say yes, I mean, I've had trials over the years where you have someone who's been a victim of a certain type of crime and now potentially would be a juror on that exact same kind of crime. You would think automatically that person would be excluded. But no, if the person says, I can still be fair and impartial, then that person remains on the jury until such time as maybe either party moves through a peremptory challenge to strike that person from that jury. So as a result, I would expect that if the question is asked, does anyone know the name Tupac Shakur? I think pretty much almost everyone's going to raise their hand. And as a result, if you know that's going to happen, that's not a big deal. It's whether or not you can be fair. And once again, presume that the man sitting there accused of the crime is innocent until such time as they prove otherwise.
Well, I mean, Diddy's trial, there was nobody was sequestered. You think that they're going to take their phones, or they're going to put them like, maybe they stay in the hotel for the week while the trial's going on, and then on the weekend they can go home or something like that. That's how I see partial sequestration, but I could be wrong. They can't watch TV, social media, but get home each day. Well, yes, we couldn't. I mean, I don't know. But again, I served jury many, many years ago. You just couldn't, you could watch TV. You just couldn't look for the case on TV, right? You said, Naldo, where have you been? You know what, Naldo? Where's my mom? Pika, can you write a detention slip to Naldo? Because like he just appears. Like one day he disappears for several months and then he comes back. Shout out to you, Naldo. You've been missed. Shout out to you. You said they are allowed to sleep at their homes, but are kept together and isolated during the trial day. So they can go home. So are they going to bring transportation for them? Isn't that what they did at the Diddy trial too? Man, I can't see. That was like last year and I still can't. Feels like a long time ago. So they're allowed to sleep in their homes, but they're kept together in isolation during the trial date. Okay. Dang, crazy work. Crazy. Partially sequestered is a legal term meaning that a jury is kept isolated and under strict supervision during the court day, but allowed to sleep in their own house. Just like Vicky said. There you go. Wow. That's insane. Rabbit, it means jurors are isolated outside of the influences. Gotcha. Wow. I believe it means that they're only isolated for the verdict. He needs to see the terms outlined by the judge. We need to see that judgment to know for sure. Well, we did show, they said the judge agreed to partial sequestration. So that's very specific. So they'll have transportation to and from, says Vicky. Gotcha. And that was like, guilty. Shout out to y'all. All right, let's keep going, y'all, because we have so much to review. We haven't even gotten to Perez or D4VD. Let's go.
So
in one of the most recent court hearings that we did hear that we're expecting a large jury pool, right, for jury for this case. How are you going to narrow it down to 12 to 15 people?
I don't know. Well, I mean, everyone's going to be asked the same questions by the court. The judge will ask the basic questions that every judge will ask, and that is questions that include, financial reasons why you can't be on a jury for anticipated 5 to 6 week trial or 7 week trial, whether or not they give more or less credence to police officers just because they are. Do you know anybody that's on the defense side or the prosecution side?
Oh man.
The question about do you know Tupac Shakur? The judge will ask that question. Not.
Do you guys think it's going to last 6 to 7 weeks? 6 to 7 weeks. That's, I mean, you're talking about 30 years. I could see this lasting a whole month or maybe even 2 months. What do you guys think? 6 or 7 weeks? And I'm trying to figure out, are they going, because I've been looking at the records to figure out, are they going to be, listen, if they're streaming it, we're going to stream, but if they're streaming, I believe they've like News Nation. I didn't see Court TV. You know how Court TV likes to play the fool and Law and Crime? I mean, this is going to be interesting to watch.
Either side. And then there's a lot of people that at some point will say, like, I would love to be part of this, but I can't take 6 weeks off. And that's the other part of the problem is that, we're expecting people from our community to take part in it, but at a cost to their personal lives, right? If they don't have jobs that allow for them to leave work, get paid still, and be on a jury, it becomes very difficult. And so we have to be cognizant of that. And my guess would be is that the court will be more definitely concerned about that aspect of it, is, you know, because of the length of trial. Typically, we say 5 days, 7 days, 10 days for a jury trial. This is not one of those times.
No, we're expecting 4 to 6 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
You wanted to sequester the jury?
Oh,
Yes.
Lord.
Why? That's a lot to ask for.
It's a
Before he goes there, he said 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, can y'all mark your calendars? I will be in Rabbit's chat 4 to 6 weeks. Hold up, let me get my Loistrum. All right, 4 to 6 weeks. Oh, by the way, another trial that's on my book too, coming up. Put it on your Palm Pilots. It's the Mike Jeffries trial, and it's coming up October 2026. Yes, Mike Jeffries trial. Don't forget about that. Don't sleep on the Abercrombie and Finch CEO. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. 40 Pika. You will say 6 to 8 weeks. Put it on your scheduler. Okay. Because we're going to be live. All right. Okay. Here we go.
huge ask. And so even in the OJ case, when OJ Simpson was tried for murder, they had moved for sequestering, and they finally got it. But it was an extremely heavy lift. And for that, it's forget about the logistics, right? The people that have to be involved, the rooms that have to be rented, the fact, but the people themselves, literally, I would imagine, probably felt like they were being in custody during the entire time.
We're talking no phones, no TV, in a hotel room after court for 6 weeks.
To me, it was more about the idea that we just need to be aware of media influences, right?
Good luck with that one, man. No TVs, no phone. I mean, ooh, that's horrible. Yeah, for somebody that's like, you're gonna get a lot of people, retired people that already know who Tupac is. Palm Pilot, let's stop telling your age without telling us your age. By the way, I found a Palm Pilot at the Goodwill. It's gonna be my prop. I gotta go get it. I should have gotten it when I saw it. I gotta go get me that Palm Pilot. It's so cute too, and it was pink. Anyways, let me stop.
Like everyone that's watching what you're doing right now that are going to be influenced by you is a concern, because you want jurors who are going to stick to the promise of we will only consider what is going to be presented to us in court and not anything else. We just live in a world now that's so much more interconnected that, I mean, in OJ's time, they didn't have phones and, you know, this kind of thing, internet, for instance. And so now we have those things. You walk out of that building, you're going to be bombarded with something. You're going to watch Fox News and have a little ticker on the bottom that talks about the day's event. So to me, that's the problem, but there's no way around it.
No, because we have to do what we have to do.
Right, exactly. So it's no one's fault. It's just sort of the way the system is now. But we did get basically some relief for the jury. So, you know, they'll come in as a group through private elevators in the back. They'll go up whenever they're on break. They don't go out into the hall. They actually will be in a jury deliberation room the entire time.
People are going to be working on documentaries already. Just keep note of that, guys. Keep note of that.
They'll be, you know, lunch will be brought to them every day, that kind of thing. And that's just to keep them out of the view of media and so forth. We just don't want to make the jurors' jobs any more harder than they already are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we're talking about just the media attention of this case and just the 3 decades behind it. How are you finding time to decompress and balance everything out as we start this countdown to the trial?
You know, my superpower is just to be oblivious to all of it.
How is that possible?
I don't know, man. It's like, you know, in the middle of a storm, if you just look and see a blank face from me, it's usually because I'm just not getting it.
Right.
I think it's my superpower. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I mean, maybe that is it. On some level, I don't really pay attention to a lot of these things.
He's like, I'm just going to be that's my superpower, oblivious. Oblivion? Shout out to him, man.
You know, there are people online that have, you know, I would imagine contributed to the dialogue and thoughts about this or that. And it would include thoughts about, say, me. I just don't have time to read it, nor do I care enough to read it. So as a result, I just sort of, you know, traipse through the tulips.
Yeah, you kind of just pretend the media's not there.
La 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 la, just walking through. So.
But we know you're there, and you have.
Okay, I like him. He's kind of funny, y'all. You gotta like somebody that's oblivious and he's okay with it. All right, am I freezing? Let me know. It might be my camera that I might have to turn off for a little bit. The Oblivion man. There you go. He's the Oblivion. I'm like, dude, this guy's like spacing. I don't know how many years in prison, life, you blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. Shout out to him.
A few words. You had given us a little press conference about a month ago. You said that you believed in this cause. Is that you believing in Keefe D's innocence?
Yes.
Speaking of innocence,
Sure.
This book that he co-authored. It was center of a couple of court hearings. It's going to be presented to the jury. There's a lot in here that talks about his recounts of that night.
Sure.
Is this book backing up his innocence?
That's the question of the day. I can't answer that question because it's technically evidence that may or may not come in during the course of the trial. The jury would determine what parts, if any, of that book they're going to consider. The judge makes the final call. So as a result, I just can't predict what the judge will consider and admit as evidence in the case. And I just can't talk about it. I don't want to be accused of, trying to influence the panel or anything like that. But at the end of the day, the book becomes a centerpiece of the state's case against Keefe for sure.
And it is, yeah.
That is insane. The book becomes the center of it all. What do y'all think? You said, hold up, let me go back a little. The judge denied full sequestration of the jury, proving only partial sequestration. That's right. Instead, the court said it will take steps to shield jurors from media coverage of the case. Fox 5 Vegas. Thank you. He seems like a nice guy. He said, wait, who's tippy-toeing through the tulips? The lawyer is. He's like, I'm oblivious. Hold up, y'all. My camera is freezing. Give me 1 second. I don't know why it's acting up. It could be the battery. 1 sec, y'all.
And I've been reading through it. Have you got a chance to read through it?
Yes, I've been.
Yeah. So does anything surprise you about his upbringing? He talks about his dad being a veteran. He was a straight A student. He was playing football. And then he gets into this other side of the street life.
Well, it's consistent with what I know from speaking with family. When I went to his dad's funeral, I did that partly because I wanted to do some research and get to know the family a little bit, but I did it out of respect as well for Keefe. He was in custody. He's been unable to meet with his family or see his family, and I felt it was important for a representative like myself to step in and be there on his behalf for his father. I learned a lot of things about the family. They are good people. They're normal people. There's nothing extraordinary one way or the other. They're just hardworking people who do everyday things, right? And their family, they gather around each other and they support one another. And so, things in the book where he talks about his family, I think are relatively consistent in terms of the feeling of family and the feeling of that type of thing. Now, here's the thing, whether the book is something that should be the gospel truth, that's the question of the day. Is it something where we can say you wrote it in a book, so therefore that is what it is? And that's something for a jury to decide.
And I mean, it kind of goes into what led him to co-author or co-write, and what part of it is considered fake. I mean, clearly he's going to say it's the part of the Tupac, it's the part of the Diddy conversation. So it's like you got to be careful, man, admitting to crimes, especially if now years later you're going to say that you didn't commit them and it was just an entertainment value book.
I've noticed in court that Mr. Davis keeps trying to speak and you kind of shush him. Does he have any intention to take the stand?
Every defendant has the right to testify on their own behalf. I cannot force someone to either testify or not testify. Obviously, it'll be his right when the time comes for him to make that decision. He does get upset because he feels like he's being misrepresented in terms of the way that the state has portrayed him. And once again, explaining to Keefe that, hey, this is a hearing that's not the trial. It's, once again, in his mind, he's being unfairly, characterized, or he's unfairly painted in a certain way. And that just comes with the territory. He wrote a book. We have to accept that. And so as a result, even though he wants to say something in his defense, I've always told him that that's not the time or place to do that.
Can you talk to us, for those of you who are not familiar with a murder trial, can you tell us why it's typically not common practice to have the defendant take the stand?
I mean, I've had acquittals where clients take the stand, testify on their own behalf. I've had, the majority of the time as an attorney, you want to be prudent, which requires you to say, look, I cannot control what you're going to say, so just don't say anything at all. More times than not, I think people immediately believe that the person who's going to testify is lying or saying something to try to get out of the situation that they put themselves in.
Yeah. He's like, so Keefe D is like 63 or 62. I think he's 63. Pretty sure he's like well over 60, 63. Yeah.
So, and a lot of times clients will decide on their own whether they want to do it or not. I've always been of the opinion that I don't force my clients to make a decision one way or the other, because it's their constitutional right to speak their truth, to say the words that they think they ought to say. you know, outside of that, even me, for instance, if I was accused of a crime, I don't know if I'd want to speak on my own behalf. I don't
Ooh.
know. I don't know what it's like, that kind of pressure where you're being accused, especially of a crime that's so significant, like a murder. You know, like how do you feel confident in your own abilities to get in there and say words to it?
My thing with Mr. Keefe is that he relish in that. That's what it's like, you know, it. And I think back to like interviews. I'll never forget. There was a show that he did where he was interviewed by Ben Crump. This was many years ago. I think it was like an A&E show, right? And so Ben Crump got like a little show or whatever, and this was supposed to be the show that Ben Crump was supposed to reopen the case, and he was going to lead the case to the murder, not only of Tupac, but Biggie as well. That ish went nowhere. Like, it went nowhere. Nothing ever happened out of that. But I remember watching that, and I remember Keefe did an interview and he was asked that question. And it is kind of like he kind of relished in this idea that people thought that he was this person who did this crime. But now here we are years later, and he doesn't want to be accused of that. He definitely doesn't want to go to prison for that either, right? So there's that. You said he seems like the type of person who should not be on the stand. I don't think that Keefe should take the stand at all. You said, so we're saying a 63-year-old man suddenly chose to do creative fictional writing? Well, Naldo, they interviewed him and he said the book is fake. The book is so. He said that, you know, Diddy, did Diddy offer you $1 million to take out Tupac? Who's Diddy? He didn't say it like that, but that's really like, he acted like, no, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's what he said. So I'm like, well, now we're changing the story when the book is there and the interviews are there, and he was played by Vlad TV, 150,000 by Vlad TV. He said all this stuff, and now he's taking it back. I don't know.
Jury who are looking at you, and these are 12 strangers you don't even know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just one of those things.
How is Mr. Davis feeling about the trial coming up?
He's hopeful. I think he's relieved that we're moving in the pace that we are, that we're in position. He's been kept abreast of everything that's been happening. And I know that he's in a position now where he feels good about the fact that we're, the biggest concern always with attorneys and their clients is communication. It's the number one bar complaint. And so it's always about how I don't know what's going on with my case, and my attorneys don't return my phone calls. We made it a point to make sure that Keefe was always involved from day one in, constant visits with updates to what's going on with this case. And so as a result, he has a better understanding, a clearer picture of where he's at. And as a result, he's not so much in fear of the unknown from his defense, right? He may be still fear of the unknown, meaning the jurors, but in terms of the defense, I don't think he's afraid of that.
Got it. Mm-hmm. Well, Mr. Sam, is there anything else that you want to add that we didn't get to? It's open conversation.
Well, no, I think you've been great. I think just overall, once again, just to repeat, the danger with these types of interviews on some level is that attorneys could be accused of trying to persuade a panel. That's never my intent. It's always to educate, just in general. And I really appreciate your questions, because I think those are the kinds of questions that are questions that that your viewers do want to know. That's a little bit of a different perspective versus the really, what do you got? Why is he not guilty? Sort of questionnaires that I typically would be anticipating. You've done a phenomenal job. I think that at the end of the day, this will be a trial in which I don't know if anyone's going to be happy with it, because I don't know if there's going to be the answer to the question, who killed Tupac? The only answer will be, it wasn't Keefe. But outside of that, there are people who want to know the answer to that question. There's multiple theories around the internet, books that have been written over time of theories. And so the problem is, though, this won't be one of those ones like, of course, this evidence shows it. Like, it won't be that kind of trial. So.
Are you ready for all eyes on Vegas?
I don't even think it's going to be that big of a deal. I mean, honestly,
very humble.
Well, I'm just saying, as much as people keep trying to tell me that it will
be. You got that all eyes on Vegas?
I am still of the opinion that it's just a kind of a thing. Like, I mean, I just don't see it as being that kind of trial that people, I mean, they'll be interested, but
you'll find out.
That I believe when O.J. Simpson was accused of like stealing stuff, right? There were cameras set up everywhere. There were tents set up everywhere at the courthouse. I was there for that. I mean, I had to walk through all that every day when I was going to court. I don't think it's that way. I think people will be very interested in this case. But once again, I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong, and then be like, like
we'll have another conversation.
Yeah, they're like, so there's a lot of people here.
Oh man.
But as of right now, I don't have any. I just really think in my heart of hearts it's going to be interesting, but not to the level to which I think most people would think. Yeah. But that's just me.
And then jury selection is starting on August 10th.
Yes, ma'am.
We anticipate that to be at least a week, at least.
I would think because
Ooh.
of the questions and people raising their hands and whether or not they can be fair and impartial, but literally more of the inconvenience of certain jurors to be out of commission from their lives for a period of 6 weeks or 7 weeks. I think those are the questions that need to be answered. And as a result, there are a lot of people that would say, I would be a great juror. I would be fair and impartial to both sides, but I can't survive not working for a month.
Listen, I don't want to be a juror. I want to be a fly on the wall of that courtroom. I just want to hear everything and know everything.
And so that will be taken into consideration as a result. So I would think that the jury selection process will go a little longer because of that.
And you often hear this in jury trials, but for this case, will race play a part in making sure that's an impartial jury?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Look, race is always a concern, in every trial, because you want to make sure that that you are being judged by a jury of your peers. But what does that even mean? Like, so the person from Summerlin, doesn't get to be on a jury because this is a case about potentially stuff that's happening in I think if you have jurors that you believe are going to be fair and impartial to both sides and not draw any conclusions till the end, then it doesn't really matter what color of skin you are. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Michael Santh, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, there you go, y'all. So that is the lawyer speaking out and whatnot. Y'all, let me know what you guys think in the comments about what the lawyer said. I mean, he seems like a cool guy. At least that's what it seems like. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Y'all, let me know what you guys think. You said did he get the pun? Not a real fan. Yeah, he didn't get the pun. I got the pun. I was like, all eyes on me. Huh? You said, no, not rabbit. Just wanted to be nosy. I just want to be nosy. I want to be in the court right there. I just want to be nosy. Right. All right, guys, moving on. Let's talk about another topic that I'm like, oh, Lord have mercy. So, and actually it was Kanisha Lynn who brought it to the chat yesterday. And then I guess we got some clarity, guys. So the family, Perez Hilton's family, actually self-disclose the whereabouts of the children when Perez was having his mental health situation. So Perez Hilton family says his children fled their home before his reported self-harm live stream. Hilton family said they fled to protect from witnessing any further trauma after it became clear that he was harming himself. So I guess I want to know what everybody thinks about this one. Because I see this twofold, okay? And I'm going to be very careful and mindful of how I say this, right? Not knowing the family, right? Not knowing his diagnosis or what exactly happened, what led up to. A lot of us have been assuming, well, it's sepsis paranoia. And I'm like, yeah, it could be. Or it could just be that he's been struggling and whatnot. Let's keep going with the article. Perez Hilton's family said his 3 children, niece and sister, were inside the home minutes before he publicly live streamed what appeared to be self-harm amid a severe mental health crisis. In a statement issued Thursday on Hilton's blog, see if I can get the direct statement because here it is. Our family cannot express enough our continued gratitude for the overwhelming outpouring of love, support, prayers we have received during this incredible, difficult time. The events of the past several days have been nearly unbearable for our family. Just minutes before the public live stream incident, Perez's children, niece, sister, were inside the home. This is, I don't think they ran this by a lawyer, but I will say this is a lot of self-disclosure here. And to me, based on the fact that I saw the video, there should have been a welfare call and there should be a CPS investigation on that. Many parents, many people, sometimes outside of their control, end up in situations like this. We've seen it time and time again. And the children, if they witness this, they become, exposed to this, to the trauma. But it says here in the statement, just minutes before the public live stream incident, Perez's children, niece and sister were inside the home. When it became clear that Perez was experiencing a severe mental health crisis and harming himself, they immediately fled to protect the children from witnessing further trauma. So they had witnessed something, especially in the sentence that says fled to protect the children from witnessing further trauma. I don't know the ages of everybody, but I do wonder, was law enforcement called before they fled? Was there an adult that helped them flee, or what? What happened? Our highest priority right now is helping the children begin to heal from what they experienced. They experienced something, guys. An important part of that process is allowing them to safely return home and begin rebuilding a sense of security and normalcy. For the children's, and this is bolded, for the children's safety, privacy, and well-being, we respectfully ask members of the media, paparazzi, content creators, and the public to leave the area surrounding the Holmes family and not return. Please allow these children, his children, privacy and space they need during the unimaginable, difficult time. We will continue to provide updates on Perez's condition through PerezHilton.com. When we have additional information, we are able to share. Again, thank you for your compassion, understanding, and continued prayers. Then they put the government website there. Okay. I need to understand what you guys think. Okay. And I'm going to do this. Well, I'll probably drop the link after because we still have to go through the D4VD stuff. Okay. Why didn't his sister, how old is the sister? Why didn't his sister call 911? The 911 operator had trouble finding the house from all the other callers. Wendy, how old is the sister, out of curiosity? And did they flee? They said flee. So they left the property. Flee, right? No investigation is necessary until the cause is determined, which no. Simply Shazzle, no. There is an investigation that's necessary. You don't need to know prescription or anything. When you have a parent that is self-harming and they're doing this and they're having to flee in front of the children that are his children, oh yes, there is an investigation that's necessary. Absolutely. They're not there to find out because the welfare is not the parent. Child welfare is child welfare. So they're looking in to see what happened with the kids. Are the kids okay? Stuff like that, right? That's all. He's going to get his health and support. Their welfare is the children. Not to find out what prescription. No, that comes after the fact. You mitigate safety. You have to determine that. So yeah, this is, I'm sorry, but that's just how the system works. You said, yeah, if the kids were there, yes, it would be an immediate. And given the fact, and I'm telling you this by experience, given the fact that this was all aired out, this was all public, if we saw what we saw, we don't know the time frame between the time that he started self-harming to when the children fled. This is given their side of the story. Did the kids see something? So I have to wonder, if they fled, where do they flee to? And who was the adult that had the children? And why didn't the adult then call 911 so that other people didn't have to call 911? A lot of could have been mitigated, right? A lot. You said, as much as I love Perez, the kids have to come first always, all the time. All the time. I'm not making up the rules. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. As much as I love Perez, as an adult, this was horrifying, and I cannot even begin to fathom. Rosa, but you got to bring that over to BJ. Like, you got to bring that over to BJ. Please don't bring it over here, because I don't know what BJ said. Shout out to her, but you got to bring that over here. Like, I'm not going to discuss what BJ's opinion was. If she had a different opinion, that's her opinion. Shout out to her. You said, we don't know what was going on before this stream started. Thank you. That's my point. That's my point. We don't know what was going on before. We don't know what they saw. What we do know, and this is self-disclosure, statement made by who? The family. They're saying, just minutes before the public stream incident, Perez's children, nieces, and sister, I don't know their ages. I know the children are like, small age, right? And sister were inside the home. When it became clear something happened, it became clear something was visible, that Perez was experiencing some kind of a health crisis and harming himself, meaning something happened in front of these individuals, and that could be in front of the children as well. based on this statement, they immediately fled to protect the children from witnessing any further trauma, which means they did witness something. They didn't want them to see anymore. They took the kids out, which, guess what? That's a great thing that they did. They fled with the children. Protective adults need to do that. But you know what? The rules are, the way child welfare works is when a parent, whether it's Perez or Susie Q or Becky Smith, if you are self-harming in front of your children, you guys, that's no different than, you have to mitigate that situation. Clearly the parent needs support and they cannot be around their children. How many incidences have we not seen of where, parents unalive themselves and their children are home? They attempt, and then it escalates where they unalive the children too. Way too many, right? So it was a good thing that they fled. Everything that we heard was that they were barricaded inside. They were not, it was a bunch of things, right? A bunch of things. But honestly, like, I have to kind of wonder, well, what happened? Who did they flee to? And was anybody able to, call 911 as soon as they left? You said he just moved back to Miami. I bet he had to switch doctors. Maybe a new doctor switched up his meds. Could very well be the case. But for the sake and safety of the children, that'll get figured out, right? So what I'm saying is that in a situation like that, it's okay for there to be a CPS investigation. Matter of fact, that's how the rules are written, right? It should be immediate. No child should witness a parent self-harming, okay? No child should witness that. And I truly do hope that Perez gets the help and support that he needs. That's the angle that I'm coming, like, that's where I stand. But his children, he is a father of 3 children, okay? And he's got other people that he's responsible for. And yes, we all go through mental health breaks, guys, but I tell you, no children should be witnessing that. That's horrific. And if it's out of his control, that happens too. And hopefully he gets the help and support so that he's able to, get the help and support that he needs. And you know what, guys? Just because CPS gets involved doesn't mean that immediately he's going to be charged with child abuse no, that doesn't mean that. There's a lot of people out there that have CPS investigations that it doesn't immediately lead to to a finding of sorts. No. What it means is that the parent needs additional support, especially if he just moved out of a different state. Clearly, there's something going on, whatever it may be, whether it was this medical condition or not. He needs support, and nobody should be ashamed of that. And people that try to shame people for that, I'm telling you, y'all got more shit on your closets than you let people to believe, okay? Yes, and that's really what the concern should be. Pray for these kids. Thank you. Even as grown adults, children, you should not want to see that. No, I would not want to see my child in that state, right? At all. A YT licensed psychiatrist said Perez's actions were rug-induced, either by street rugs or psychiatric like depression. He wasn't trying to off himself. He was seeking attention. Wow. And he's licensed too. Shout out to him. I mean, by experience, people that are licensed should probably make sure that they see the person before putting a blanket statement out there. Because yes, there's drug-induced psychosis, my understanding. Then there's psychosis. To say somebody, this is a drug-induced psychosis, that's a very generalized statement as a person who's never treated that person. And to me, that's why online, this is why we have the stigma that we have online. When people make generalized statements, being licensed or not, without actually taking a step back and really understanding, I've never treated them. I've never given a psych eval or a med eval. I've never sat down with this person. I should probably shut the fuck up before I put some shit like that. But you know what? You're licensed. You know what you're doing. This is why, for example, let me give you an example. Dr. Drew Pinsky, when they were running that rehab, how many self-deletions happen out of that celebrity self-rehab? Go look into that. The doctor that was running the DHS out of California, Los Angeles County, right? Then there was an investigation under his own watch at his home, as well as when Gabriel Hernandez was in the system. These are people that are quote unquote licensed. They're appearing on Dr. Phil, giving psycho, what is it, babble diagnosis without actually seeing the person, meeting them, and then putting these labels on them for entertainment purposes. I'm sorry, y'all. I do not like those people. I really don't. And if we have them on YouTube, I hope that they are very successful on their YouTube channel and that their stupidity doesn't cause somebody to end their life. Anyways, let's see exactly where nobody knows except the docs that are treating them. That's what I'm saying. I would hate for that to be happening, you know? Let's see. Yeah, I was going to say there's a difference between psychosis and then we having no clue what happened. And we don't even know, guys. To me, I saw it. I said, yeah, this is giving psychosis. But I didn't even see it. Like right away, I was like, ooh, I don't know if this is real. Then you look at him and like, this is giving, a psychotic episode. But the thing is that I can't even diagnose. I'm not supposed to. I can't give that blanket statement. I'm not licensed. They don't know that. No one knows what caused it. And if we know he had a mental break, health break, and that's all that matters. That's all we know, right? But here's the deal, right? We have people on the internet, besides, this is probably a bigger discussion, guys. We have people on the internet that do this a lot too. And so we become desensitized when it's happening because it's like, is this a real, what is my actions? What should I do? And luckily, guys, people were concerned, and at least a good portion of the people call 911. Although I have to wonder if the kids run out of the home, who do they run to? Because you don't want minor children running to just about anywhere. Did they run to another adult? Did the other adult say, oh, your dad just needs a break? What happened? I just feel bad for him. He almost died of sepsis just a few months. Yeah, he did. He has a huge, road ahead of him. Dr. Brocado is the only one who is careful. Seriously, the rest are a bunch of Allison Winters. Oh, my God. We'll talk about that lady. We finally got her FOIA, by the way. I believe the power that be wants us desensitized. I don't know. Yeah, right. None of us know, Perez. We don't. How do we know that this isn't the first time that he's had this? Only this time he was live streaming. We don't. What if he had an episode like this before? Only this time he was live streaming. What if this has already been happening? And the reason, I'm just speculating, the reason why he moved to Florida is because he moved closer to his mom. That could happen, right? We don't know these people personally. You don't know what people are dealing with. We just don't. You said the shrink pulled out a bulletproof report to prove his facts. I got you. I mean, E.H. Benny, I'm not telling you who to believe. I just, from what I've seen, I don't typically believe people online. They have to be able to have at least prior experience, and you kind of risk your license doing things like that. Putting things out there without seeing the patient. I think it's really irresponsible, but that's just my thought. Dr. Phil and me are on the same amount of doctor. Oh my gosh. Let me see. Oh yeah, Dr. Phil was not even a medical doctor and he had a PhD. Anybody, y'all, call me Dr. Rabbit. PH what? What are you talking? Anybody can have that label. Okay? You just got to pay for it. Call me Dr. Rabbit. You say they fight over there. Who wrote the pattern first? I don't know, man. You said Dr. Phil. Phil has hurt a lot of people all over the years. Yeah, and he has. Yeah, there's no way that you can be certain. I can't be certain. This is why, you should be allowed to push back. You know what I mean? You said, I'm saying if investigation shows that he was prescribed what I learned, it's a direct prescription drug given to him in a one-time situation, it's likely a 5-day situation before it's clear. What do you mean as far as him being held? Don't know. He's still there after 72 hours. So yeah, you said, let's see, as a medical health professional, you cannot diagnose someone without having one-on-one time with them. That's what I thought. That's why I'm like, I think it's, and I'm sure he probably has a disclaimer in his description box, to say that. But let me do this. I know y'all are very vocal about this topic. Before we head to D4VD, do me a favor and hit the link. Let me know your thoughts. Y'all are welcome to come up and let me know your thoughts. You can sound off while I mute. Gotcha. Do you want me to look it up, EH Bunny? We could talk about it. Like I said, you know, you guys are entitled to if whatever y'all believe. That's interesting. A psychiatrist explained Perez Hilton live stream. Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's look into what is his name? Psychiatrist believes. Let me look it up. Psychiatrist believe hold up. What did I explains? Excuse me. Explains. That's what it says. Perez Hilton. Oh, Dr. Yosef. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Let's see. Board certified psychiatrist, former FDA medical officer, founder of the world's largest, what is it? Psychiatric drug tampering clinic. Tamper clinic. Oh, so he does drugs too? And then he says, disclaimer, all content on this channel is for educational purposes only, not intended, oh, here you go, not intended as specific or personal medical advice. Watching the videos or getting answers is in comments does not establish doctor-patient relationship. That is smart. That, see, I told you, I said, well, look for the whatchamacallit, that little disclaimer right there. Basically telling you, I am not saying what I'm saying is true. Hold up. Let me see. What else? Here you go. Disclaimer. All information on this channel is for educational, entertainment purposes. Oh, because somebody's mental health and their meltdown is for entertainment purposes, right? Okay. Not intended to be specific or personal medical advice from me to you. Watching the videos and getting answers to comments and questions does not establish doctor-patient relationship. If you have your own doctor, these videos can help you prepare for your discussion with them. Okay, that would make sense. I would want to watch a doctor on YouTube to help me prepare to like how to ask these questions, right? Just like if I were to read WebMD. Okay. We do our best to spread awareness with these videos, but for legal reasons, we can't answer health questions in the comments. If you leave a question, we'll make a video about a common question in the future. Okay, if we catch incorrect health information, hate speech, or illegal solicitation of drugs in the comments, we will remove them. All right. Okay. And he tells you get our free taper. So he offers medication. All right, let's get into this. I'm kind of curious about this. Let's see. We could speed it up. Here we go.
Is circulating about a famous gossip blogger called Perez Hilton, who mutilated himself with a knife on a live stream on TikTok yesterday. The video
mutilated himself. He didn't even say self-harm. He said mutilated himself. Okay.
The video is extremely disturbing, and I would highly recommend not watching it or seeking it out. However, I will describe it because it's important in understanding what this may have been caused by. Now, in this video, you see Perez in a frantic, dazed, and frenetic state, completely bloodied, without clothes on, cutting himself several times with a knife. It looks like he may have cut himself in the tens or maybe even the hundreds of times. It's very, very bad. Now, most people, when they see someone harm themselves, they immediately assume this guy's depressed or he's trying to take his life. You know, I saw some people speculating about that. I also saw people in a darker way speculating that, hey, because Perez Hilton is a gossip blogger, maybe this was some kind of grotesque publicity stunt. Now, I don't think either of these things really make sense, because based on the clinical presentation in this disturbing video, I actually think it looks more like a drug-induced side effect leading to self-mutilation.
I actually think, he's not saying that this is what it is. I actually think, okay. So, by the way, and I'm looking into, like, check his reviews. Criticism of expensive tapering program. Dr. Yosef programs are very expensive, but the way the most important information conducted is safe taper yourself for free. So they give out there. There's some complaints about him too, by the way. Just letting y'all know. Just like you would find a Dr. Pinsky, what's his name? That guy, and then the other Dr. Jen. These are television doctors. What's the other doctor's name? What is his? I used to have his picture up in here. We used to talk shit about him too because of his stupidity. I took his picture down. Dr. Charles Sophie, another one, right? He said my mic got quiet. Hopefully y'all hear me. Okay, hold up. Okay, this is this is his opinion. He's allowed to his opinion. Okay, he's not. Is he giving his opinion as a doctor? Okay, I don't know.
Now, I want to be really clear about something. There's no public information out there that Perez Hilton is actually abusing, taking any drugs of abuse.
Oh no,
In
shit,
fact, the source
Sherlock.
that spoke to TMZ earlier on today actually stressed that he's not known to be someone who drinks or uses drugs. However, it was
Oh.
publicly acknowledged by this source that he was struggling with his mental health during the move. Here's the
Mhm.
article. Move to Miami took an emotional toll before live stream event. So sources with direct knowledge told TMZ that the move was for his mom, as she wasn't happy living in Vegas, and that earlier on this year, Perez had a near-death experience in March, which required a 21-day hospital stay. I've heard some people trying to link this to what's happened now, saying this was like a post-sepsis type of thing. That's way too far away for that to even be a possibility. It goes on to say that Perez, who's a devoted dad and thoughtful son, was trying to do best for his family, putting others' needs above his own. However, he didn't anticipate how difficult the transition would be. After all, he had built a comfortable life and successful career as a Vegas-based influencer, and his kids were settled in school there. After moving, sources say he missed the life he had in Vegas and struggled to adjust to Miami. We're told having to rebuild his career, establish a new home base, and proved difficult, causing Perez to second-guess the move. And so that's what we know. But on top of that, over the last decade, Perez has openly talked about suffering from anxiety and depression as well. And so there is a possibility that he may have been taking some psychiatric medication, or he may have been started on some psychiatric medications recently.
be.
But I want to be really clear about this. This is complete speculation on my behalf, and we don't.
Thank you. At least he's saying this. He's like, I'm not speaking on truth. I've, complete speculation. I think that is important to kind of put out here. I would like for us to tell us your opinion when the video's over. Yeah, I'm listening. I might have to get my headphones there. They're over there. So I might, I'm listening, but I need to get my other headphone because this headphone is dead. You said, oh, Dr. Oz, that's another one too. Some cutters do not said, I don't know if Perez is a cutter. There's a pattern of behavior that happens with it. This is what I'm saying is we have to be careful. Somebody self-harming once doesn't necessarily mean that they are that. I think for something like that, it's like a pattern of behavior specifically. You know what I mean? So just something to kind of keep in mind. And this is, in my opinion, what is dangerous about individuals like, because you don't know. We don't know, man. We don't. And if you haven't sat down and actually evaluate, you don't want individuals giving blanket statements. And I'm glad that he's at least repeated himself 3 times in this video. I don't know. I'm speculating, but this is what I think. Okay.
I don't know the details there. So more of that may come out as the story unfolds. And so without further ado, I want to jump into why the video of Perez Hilton screams drug-induced self-mutilation to me. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Joseph Wood-During. I'm a board-certified psychiatrist, and I'm an expert in psychiatric drug side effects. I used to do this at the FDA and also within the pharmaceutical industry. So I study how things can go wrong with psychiatric drugs and also recreational drugs. And I want to talk about the 2 common people that I see. I see people who are depressed and they have true suicidal intent. And usually they're very meticulous about how they do it. They look for an area for peak lethality, such as the wrist, and then they try to cut themselves that way. The other group of people, and these ones are actually even more common, these are people with a condition called borderline personality disorder.
Now, let me say this. Notice how he's talking about groups of people. So groups of people, what do you examine? Patterns, right? So if a person that we don't know, again, we don't know what's going on, whether it's sepsis or whether it's cutting, I don't know, y'all. I'm just watching this. He's talking about groups of people. So the pattern typically has to happen more than once. It's like repetitive behavior, right? In order for the person to fall in that category.
And if you're not really aware of this term, I'm just going to quickly describe it. It's essentially a term used for a group of people who have extremely intense, strong emotions. Typically, these people have trauma in the past, relational trauma. And what happens, because they're so emotionally reactive, is something stressful will happen in their life. They'll be overwhelmed by the pain of that emotional distress, and they actually start to cut themselves as a way to distract themselves from the emotional pain. That is a really common pattern and something most people think of when they hear about people self-harming. Now, generally, people with borderline personality disorder, they will cut their forearms, they will cut their thighs, or they'll cut the sides of their bodies. And most people, they try and hide the marks. Now, what we saw from Perez Hilton was not this. This was unusually extreme. And I have to tell you this, I've worked in emergency rooms for countless hours and I've seen these cases. What we saw with Perez.
Now, here's like when E.H. Bunny said, a person that is self-harming, right? They're not intending to unalive themselves. They're not intending to do that. Notice how he's speaking about this specific group of people. He's put 2 people in different groups. Okay. But notice what EHC Buddy said. Well, they're not intending to. It's just so. My point in this is that we don't really know whether this was a one-time thing. He did this that one time. Has he done this before? Or was it a start of medication that might have induced this, that wouldn't even have put him in that bucket? This is what I'm saying is we gotta scale this back a little bit because we don't know. He's also speculating too, and he said it's okay to speculate, right? So we don't know what this looks like. I didn't examine the cuts. I can't tell you whether they were deep or not. What I did see is somebody who was struggling with their mental health and they needed help, mental health support. That's it. And see, this is where we get in the weeds of stuff, and I can't even, like, my mind doesn't even go there because I don't want to. What happened is not, it should not be normalized, right? And if we're going through trying to put a label into it, we're normalizing it, in my opinion. We don't know. We don't know anything. We don't know if this happened one time. We don't know if he's done it before. We don't know if this is superficial because I didn't see his cuts outside from the camera. I mean, a lot of this shit isn't 4K. You know, I'm careful with what's being said, you know?
I have never seen that in the emergency room from self-harm. That was severe. He was repeatedly cutting his face, his arms, his legs, and his torso in rapid fashion with a knife. And in addition, this was done publicly on a live stream. You normally wouldn't do something like this publicly. That's very disorganized. He was also making strange grunting noises and was in this frantic, dazed state. This is not a typical presentation of normal self-harm or suicidal behavior. This was something else. And from what I've read in the medical literature, this is characteristic of what we see in self-mutilation induced by psychotropic substances. So psychotropic substances meaning drugs of abuse and also prescription psychiatric medications. And so I want to jump in and talk about what the peer-reviewed literature says on this. And we have a great review that was published in Psychiatric Research. So here it is. And I've essentially paraphrased what this article talked about to kind of distinguish between the two different kinds.
And so here, this is what makes it very difficult, right? Because it's like, well, he's a doctor, he's board certified and everything, but he's speculating, right? What is he showing us? He's showing us empirical research to kind of say, well, this is what it looks like here. And this is, you know, if I was going to a one-time visit, but we're not doing an assessment, right? This is kind of what I would get. And that's all he's offering. He's not really offering a diagnosis. He's truly just speculating. He can't say this for a fact. And this is why he's offering the empirical research to show you what he's talking about. I mean, it's just content, guys. The guy is creating content. That's it. He's no different than anybody else here online, because even though he's a doctor, board certified, he's not diagnosing anybody. He's speculating. That's it.
Of self-harm that you see, it sort of described them, and I put it in a table here. So in drug-induced self-mutilation, it's usually associated with recent drug or substance exposure. It happens in the state of intoxication when someone is having an acute psychotic reaction to the drug. It's often something that occurs as a one-off. You know, many people who do this, they've never done it before. That's why it says previous self-mutilation only reported in 15% of cases. That's important when we're going to contrast it to borderline self-harm soon. And finally, the injuries that are induced during drug-induced self-mutilation are frequently severe and permanent, with 80% of cases causing major impairment. Now let's go over to borderline-related self-injury, which is the most common type, and where people do this for reaction seeking or also to cover emotional pain. So it's usually associated with intense emotional distress, usually functions to relieve tension, emptiness, negative mood, or self-punishment. Here's the thing. It is characteristically recurrent. This is a coping pattern. This is not a one-off thing that typically happens. This is something that people do repeatedly whenever they have experienced intense emotions. I haven't read anything online about this being a pattern for Perez Hilton, and it probably wouldn't even be online, but you know, that's something to think about.
Because, he just said it. We don't know. He said, I haven't read this to be his history online. You know what I mean? So it's like, we have to be able to, I don't know, man. I don't, like I said, to me, this is no different than a video that I'm watching any other video. It's just commentary. The guy just happens to have medical experience. That's it. But like I said, it can be dangerous, because what if it's not even that? To get a real diagnosis, you need to be assessed by an individual, by a doctor. You need to sit down and have to be evaluated, right? So this is why in my opinion, it's dangerous to do all this. But hey, you know, do your thing.
When it's done for like helping you with your emotions, it's a repeated pattern that someone does. I've seen Perez. It doesn't look like he has scars on his face or on his body previously, so this doesn't look like a recurrent thing. And typically the injuries include scratching, burning, hitting, head banging, or cutting without permanent loss of organ function. Okay, that's how we're going to kind of contrast normal self-harm that we see in the borderline community and drug-induced severe mutilation that is abrupt and severe and unusual. Okay, so these authors, they went out there and they looked at all the cases they could find in the medical literature. As you can see, most of them actually happen with drugs that cause psychosis, such as hallucinogens and amphetamines and cocaine, alcohol sometimes, And there's a small group here, a small
Mhm.
section for psychiatric medications.
Okay.
Now, I'm really going to focus on the psychiatric medications because we have this TMZ source who is saying that it does not appear that Perez Hilton was, someone that drank a lot or someone that was using drugs at all. They were saying he's very health conscious. So if this was a drug-induced side effect, what it makes me think about is potentially psychiatric medications. So let's
Yeah.
have a look at some of the reports.
And by the way, this again, speculation. We don't know, right? Let's just say that that's the case. All right, he moves, like somebody said in the chat, maybe he moved, to a different state. And so therefore he was still, relocating. You got to find a new doctor. You got to acclimate yourself. Maybe he ran out of medication or something to that effect. Or maybe he took the wrong dosage. People, y'all, like, this is a real thing. Sometimes folks that take psychiatric meds, you underestimate, if you don't take them right, you don't take them correctly, you underestimate the harm that they can cause to you, right? Somebody, let me give you an example. Somebody who does not have ADHD should not be taking any ADHD medication, not even for funsies, because it could really mess you up. So, and I've seen it happen. I had somebody close to me that decided to take ADHD meds, and what ADHD meds does to me is different than what it did to that person. It is very dangerous, and it could F you up, here. So you have to be careful. When this person who took it, oh my God, they were not themselves. They were not themselves for days after they took it. And they thought it was just like, it was going to be nothing because they see how you're reacting to it. I go to sleep on ADHD meds. That's how much my executive functioning is off the rate. I mean, coffee puts me to sleep, guys. I go to sleep. I go to bed. Truly, I'm calm. It slows me down. Another individual could have a different kind of side effect than that. You have to be careful, completely careful.
Found for self-mutilation induced by psychiatric drugs. Check out this table. So we have this report from 1992, major depressive disorder, male, 44. That's kind of around Perez's age, actually. Fluoxetine, 80 milligrams, superficial cuts to throat, wrist, and abdomen. There's also a report here on clonazepam. Just below that, razor blade cuts on arms and chest. And these two case reports, just based on this like very brief description, they sound somewhat similar, but we are missing additional information. And we're going to actually talk about a case in just a moment. But I want to show you quickly, just for anyone that is not aware of this already, suicidal behavior, self-harm, suicide attempts, these are all widely recognized side effects of antidepressant medications. There are class-wide boxed warnings across all antidepressants in the United States right now. A boxed warning is essentially the highest level warning that you can have for a side effect. And it warns about these drugs inducing suicidal behavior. And so that's what this is here. There was a case report that I found.
So let me say this. What if he, relocation could very well be the case. And then, maybe something happened with the meds. Maybe he's on the wrong kind of meds. That happens a lot. Could very well be the case. I think for me is that we just don't know. Just like we don't know about sepsis. We don't know anything, right? What we do know is that his kids were there. It sounds like they at least witnessed something, and it's okay he needs some level, they need some level of help. And hopefully moving forward, they're able to assess that. And, if Perez has another issue, right? Let's hope not. He gets the help and support so that his kids aren't exposed to something like that, right? Let me know.
Published in the American Journal of Psychiatry back in 1990, which actually gave more details about what this intense suicidal behavior can look like. And it was published by Martin Tischer. This is a Harvard psychiatrist, American Journal of Psychiatry. This is the biggest psychiatric journal out there, the most prestigious. And here was the intro. This was actually a case series of 6 depressed patients who got worse on Prozac. So it says,
Lord.
6 depressed patients free from recent
Wait
suicidal...
a minute. Wait. EHC, but I love you. I love you so much, girl. But please don't say this. Please. Now, listen, I don't agree. Please don't say that Tom Cruise was right. Please don't tell me that Scientologist was right. Please don't say this to me. If you don't believe in psychiatric meds, girl, say that. But don't say that Tom Cruise was right about this. This is the same man who told Brooke Shields that shamed her for having postpartum depression. This is the same man who can't have a relationship with Suri Cruz because of Scientology. Please. I'm not trying to call you out, but once you could have said anybody but that motherfucker. Please. I love you, EHC, but I really do, man. But please don't say Tom Cruise. That was the wrong example. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. No, that never happened either. He was essential. I think it was that's what he shared. Okay. But mind you, the man is a Scientologist, right? I'm gonna cry. I'm good. You got to give me somebody else besides, please, not Tom Cruise. Please, not Tom Cruise. Not Tom Cruise. The same man who was jumping on Oprah's couch, right? Thank you, Vicky. Suri. He doesn't talk when the disconnection happened between what's her name, Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise. It was because of Scientology. They had to get the lawyers involved to get Katie Holmes out of that with her daughter without disconnecting them and breaking the family. Please, I'm telling you, do not listen to Tom Cruise, y'all. Do not listen to Tom Cruise, please. Okay, please. This is the man that, again, anybody that's having any kind of mental health break, postpartum depression, no, he is not the guy. Please, anybody but Tom Cruise. Sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm just like, and EHC buddy, I love you. I really do. But Tom, you killed me with that one, man. You really did. Oh man, I don't listen to any Scientologists. No, I don't. Oh man. Whew. All right, I'm gonna be all right. Oh, shout out to EH buddy. When you said that, girl, you took me out. She's like, I'm glad you have some humor on this, girl, because I swear to God, I'm not picking on you, I promise. But when you said Tom Cruise, I said, no, we rebuke. Dang, y'all, yes, I am. All right? Let me stop. Let's keep going with this because we got to move on, y'all.
Developed intense, violent, suicidal preoccupations
Oh, man.
after 2 to 7 weeks of fluoxetine treatment. That's Prozac. This state persisted for as little as 3 days to as long as 3 months after discontinuation of fluoxetine. None of these patients had ever experienced a similar state during treatment with other psychotropic drugs. I want to zoom in on case 3 because case 3 to me seemed to be the most similar to what had happened with Perez. So let's check out this. Case 3, Mrs. C, 19-year-old college freshman, was hospitalized for the first time with symptoms of depression, paranoia, bulimia, agoraphobia, and dissociation. She had a history of mild suicidal gestures in the past that had been managed without hospitalizations, and she had been on some other psychiatric medications.
Well, all right.
Let's go over here. 2 weeks later, fluoxetine was added to the fluphenazine. That was another med that she was on.
I'll tell you what. It's informative for entertainment purposes what the doctor's doing here, okay? But it's not definitive, and we need to take it for what it is, right? Ultimately, what do we want? We want this man, clearly he's going through something to get the help and support that he needs. His children should not be subjected to any of that. There should be a CPS investigation to determine, make sure that he has a routine to get himself back on target. It is not the end of the world to say that because sometimes people need extra support. And like I said, it sounds like hopefully the kids get some kind of a mental health support too, because that's the worst thing that you know how many people, adults whose parents have done things like this, whether you have an alcoholic parent or a parent that abuses drugs or a parent that self-harms or they're struggling with their own mental health. As a child, that's out of your control. And so when you have a parent that's doing all this right in front of you, the child deserves to be protected, and that deserves a CPS investigation to make sure that moving forward, this doesn't happen again. And ultimately, how do we know subconsciously that this wasn't as horrific as it was? Honestly, it could have been a cry for help from Perez himself too. Maybe this was out of his control, because when you're in psychosis, you can't control what is happening around you, right? So if this was happening and all of this was going down, I mean, literally, the people around him can only do so much. Why do you think that the cops, they're allowing him to be? They're de-escalating him. They're not there to take control over the situation, right? That's what they're doing. We have to let the chips fall where they may, and hopefully we'll get more information. That's how I see it. You know what I mean? I don't take it as entertainment for for entertainment, but education presented online should always be backed up further with investigation and confirmation from at least 3 specialists. Well, I mean, you would hope that that's how it goes, but guess what? Even the best make mistakes. You said, I would go down the Scientology rabbit hole after I saw the Leah Remedy documentary. Listen, let me stop. But are all psychiatric meds good? No. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you don't take psychiatric meds, because I do believe that people should be entitled to do the research. And if a med helps them out, take your med, especially if you have children, take your meds and do what you have to do. Now, if you don't like to take your meds, figure out how to fix the meds, especially if it's something that you have to take for the rest of your life. I'm not going to shame somebody for taking meds or seeking mental health support. I took Adderall because I needed it at one point in my life, and if I take it again, I'll take it again, because that is me having full autonomy and figuring out what I need to do with my life to get it together, right? There's nothing wrong with taking meds. Don't let anybody make you feel like you're wrong for that. If anything, they're wrong for shaming you, especially if it helps you out. I'm here for it. I'm an advocate for that. Okay. You should be able to choose, just like you wouldn't tell somebody how to do their life. It should be reciprocal. That's how I see that. Oh Lord, you talking about that Clancy trial? Lord have mercy. What about it, girl? What about it? Tell me. And we don't even know what meds we don't know nothing, Jake. We don't know nothing, right? We don't know nothing. That's the thing. All we know is that the kids should not have been exposed to that, and they should get some mental health support, mental health support for this. There's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself, prioritizing your health in whatever way you take it. That's right. You'll never hear me say don't take it. Nope. Do you? Thank you. Do you, boo? Do you? Because I don't live with you and I don't pay your rent. Y'all don't pay my rent. Well, some of you do. Shout out to the supporters. I'm just joking now. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, y'all support my channel and stuff, but I don't pay your rent for me to tell you and dictate what you can or can't do. Hey, Alabama Mama, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What do you think?
Girl,
What
I don't
happened?
know. Like, I may have I don't know. Like, I've seen a lot of really bad stuff because we do, I cover true crime as well and go through the documents and stuff. But I have never seen anything like I did the other night. Like, that really screwed me up.
With Perez? Yeah.
Yes. Like the helpless feeling, right? Like it's actively going on. So I think maybe it put it in a different perspective than when we watch and we look at the documents and that has already happened. Like this was actively in that moment, and the helplessness that everybody, if you was in that live, you felt helpless. Like I don't know
Yeah.
his address. I can't get him any help. And like the way he was acting, like, I don't know, girl. I
Yeah.
seriously set up a fucking therapist appointment. It screwed me up.
Yeah.
And I just don't feel like that's acceptable to keep exposing innocent people. Like, I didn't know that that's what I was going to walk into.
Yeah. For sure. I think people were exposed to things that, and I agree. I mean, I think that that's an important point. Nobody should be exposed to any of that, right? Like at all. But at the same time, if it was out of his control, I do wonder how much he could have. Like, to me, it's like we have to have some checks and balances here. Think of it this way. If you have somebody that's a parent that's in addiction, and also self-harm can be an addiction too, for those that don't know. Self-harm can be an addiction. If you have somebody in a addiction situation, right? You have to kind of weigh in and understand that some of this stuff might be out of their control, but they could still be held accountable to a certain degree. Now, if this happened, let's just say that that's the case, he had a psychosis, a situation where it was out of his control, and all his kids could do was leave the place, and that's all they did, and they left him alone. I mean, there was at least somebody who had enough sense in this group that said, we got to go, because this is clearly what's happening is not good. Whether it was superficial cuts, whatever kind of situation was, he was self-harming, and that's all we know, and that's enough for us to know that the kids were not okay during that time, and they were exposed to something. Somebody needs to come in and facilitate and, ensure that everything's okay moving forward.
Yeah, I
But that's
agree.
it.
Like,
And you guys got to take care of yourselves. We all, right? Like you gotta, if you gotta go to therapy and address this, because that was very traumatic. I was like, oh, that
yeah,
I didn't want to see that at all. At
yeah.
all.
Don't be ashamed. Like for real. Like I'm telling you, don't be ashamed because it makes
Mm-hmm.
you feel like wow, I can't believe that would like trigger. Considering I'm 34 years old. I've been through a lot in life, and I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of graphic shit. But I have never seen anything like that, and I did not want to see something like that. And
Yeah.
if I just don't understand why people, I don't know. Like whenever I come online, right, and I've did TikTok
Mm-hmm.
lives before, I don't want to expose people to things that are like gonna affect them for the rest of their life like that. I don't
Yeah.
understand that mindset.
Yeah. They're gonna be forever affected by this. And I don't know the ages of the kids, right? I'm assuming they're in their formative years from what I've heard. And I think that if Perez, again, not knowing whether it's sepsis or whatever the hell it is, we don't know. At this point, I don't even want us throwing blanket diagnoses anymore. Whatever it may be, we don't know, right? We need to allow the time for that. I'm sure if he continues to work on the internet, he'll probably have to address his audience about it, because you can only ignore it so much.
Yeah,
You know what I
like
mean? Yeah.
take a freaking break. Like get. I don't know. I think if I was, I don't think I would ever be in that situation because, like I said, I truly feel like that if you're dealing with mental health, like I think that you should like go to your family with it or your doctor
Mhm.
with it. Like, and people like us, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist. There's nothing I can do to help you except tell you to get the help you need. Like, so why bring it to us? You know what I'm saying? Like, take it to somebody that can actually help you if you're wanting help.
Yeah. Was it in his control? That's the question that we
That's
have to
true.
know.
Like
Was
with
it what
Lindsay.
if it was in his control?
Well, I feel different. If it isn't in his control, then then I don't know. I hate that.
Yeah.
I think that we need to really, as a whole, be more considerate about mental health. And I don't think our country's doing enough about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and he is somebody, I know he's having financial trouble, that's what it sounds like, but he is somebody who's had a lot of resources. I mean, for the
Hmm.
most part. So hopefully he gets the help, for his kids at least, right? Because that's important. He's got to be a
Yeah.
present father for his kids. He stepped up to that. He signed up for that. He needs to be there. That's the biggest thing. That's where
Yeah.
I
His
kind of
kids.
not knowing his kids. That's it. Even if
Yep.
you don't like him, it's
Yeah.
his children.
Because that should have, like those, I think it could have, maybe seeing that could have probably triggered like a childhood situation that I had where my grandmother dealt with a whole lot of mental health, like my whole entire life. She was depressed. Like from her childhood, it really caused her a lot whenever I was growing up. And so she did like try to unalive herself a whole lot of times, like 4 times in 1 month one time. Well,
Oh my God.
yeah. And like, people say CPS or DHR, they get involved for kids. Well, they also do get involved if an adult is in a
Yes.
house not being protected. And we couldn't protect her from her own self. So they
Yes.
took her to the mental ward. Like they came and took her out of our house and put her in a mental ward
That does
because it had
happen.
gotten so bad.
Yeah.
And one time, like she like done that to her wrist, and I was by myself with her, and I remember like it was so graphic and it traumatized me back then, and I've never seen anything like that again. And I never really got therapy for it, even from being a kid. Like, I don't know. Back then, people didn't really consider what children were seeing, I guess, right? Like, they just
Yeah.
acted like we were resilient little things, and those things shouldn't affect us, even though it truly did affect me. I was by myself and I was scared to death. I didn't know what to do. And I remember, like, seeing that the other night, that helplessness feeling like, oh my God, I can't watch this go on, but I also can't turn it because I want to make sure he's okay. Like
Yeah.
it,
For
I
sure.
think it brought up a lot of that trauma shit that I've tried to like push back all these years. So I talked to a therapist about it. I was like, told my husband, I was like, bro, tomorrow we're getting on the phone with the therapist because what I just seen, I
Oh,
cannot stop unseeing. And I realized like that it's got to be what it is it's triggered that childhood trauma that I've
yeah.
never talked about.
Yeah. And ultimately, what you're saying there is that I want to make sure I have some control over this. and you're taking accountability. Like you're not going to mirror, you're addressing what that is. Whereas like a lot of adults don't know how to do that, right? When they see something dramatic, it takes them back. And that's kind of like the thing, right? It takes you back to this. So I think that's great that you sought support as soon as you saw that, because and like anything else, whether it's this situation that we're talking about or the D4VD case, right? Hey, Infamous, how are you?
Yeah, that's awful too. Like
Yes.
I just don't understand all of these cases. And I've been watching the Lindsay trial too. And
Yes. Well, let me bring up Infamous. Hey, Infamous, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What do you have to say?
I just, like I mean, it was very traumatizing. Like I wasn't expecting, and yeah, it was extremely traumatizing. And like you said, like if he had some control, and I think like just like you said, in his eyes, there was nothing there. There was absolutely like there was probably no way, because like even when people were trying to talk to him, he was just like he was like looking through you, almost looking through, like if he was looking at somebody, he would be looking through you, because it's like there's just nothing there, like if he was in psychosis. And then also with behavioral health and mental health, there's a lot of stigma. People, I think it's old stigmas and old, things, and they're like, I don't need help, or sometimes some people think that it's a stigma, like it's a bad thing, and it's not a bad thing
Yeah.
to go get
Yeah.
help, and there's a lot of breaks in the system. There's a lot of people that, because I go to therapy and things like that, and I take I take some like 10 milligrams of like an antidepressant. It's nothing big, but it took a while to try to find something, because I said I don't want to feel out of my element. I didn't want to feel cloudy in the head, like some people, that they kind of fall onto that. But I said I want to feel normal. I don't want to. I just want to lift that cloud off my, you know what I mean? It's like almost like you have like a dark cloud over your head, and
Yeah.
we were able to find something, and it works, and it's like it works like. It just, I could get up in the morning, and I've been taking it for a long time, so it's not as deep as it was way back when, but
I hear you.
yeah, I just think
Hmm.
there's a lot of breaks in the system and a lot of stigma with mental health, and I think that it should be talked about more, about that it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing if you need help, you should be able to reach out for help,
Yeah. And let me say something real quick. Hold up. Let me oh, thank you. Hold up. This person, be my alibi. I'm still annoyed that Rabbit said people who have mental health break need to apologize for it. I don't think I said they need to apologize for it. What I said is sometimes when people are struggling with such situations, I've have people that have mental health, in my family. I want to disclose all of it, but it's out of their control. However, it's time where community comes together and really, because it's a recurring thing, we talk about what does this plan look like. And when you show and you demonstrate to the person that you love what this looks like, because it's out of their control, they can be apologetic about this. Now, as it pertains to Perez, I don't know what his diagnosis is. Nobody does, right? But ultimately, if he comes back tomorrow and says, hey, I'm going to go do celebrity news, and then completely ignores this, there is a level of exposure that occurred here without even really knowing what exactly happened, or even like, okay, do you just kind of move on and not address it? If I have a family relative who's struggling with an episode and they're aware, and sometimes they're not, sometimes they don't know what the impact is. This is why I said some people don't fit in that bucket where they have no awareness, no thought, no control over what that episode looks like. And so you're kind of, left there protecting the person. It's okay for the person that's struggling, that if they do have a level of awareness, to come back and say, you know what? I fell off my meds, or I didn't do this right. If they're apologetic about it, if they apologize, okay, next plan, because it doesn't stop there, especially with something as severe as, I'm just thinking schizophrenia, right? So please don't twist my words. If you're annoyed, let me know. Cool. I'm glad. Thank you. But don't twist what I said. Okay. Because now I'm annoyed that you don't. I don't know how out of everything from that, all you got was that. Go watch the video that I did yesterday. Please and thank you. All right.
Also,
thought
you
you
don't
were
know
so
who's seen
great.
it. Yeah, you don't know
Exactly.
who witnessed that. There could have been kids that witnessed that.
Let
You
me
know?
let me give you an example. Should Perez, let's say that he has let's say that he mistook his meds. Let's say that that's the case. Okay, let's say that that this was an ongoing thing. Should he apologize to his kids for the stuff that happened or no? Think about it.
Yes,
That's
most
that's
definitely.
family. That's what I'm not. That's what I'm trying to say, y'all. So please don't twist my words. Okay, go troll your ass somewhere else because that shit did get me lit. I'm sorry. Think about it. He's gonna have to make it up to his kids, and guess what? Because his kids were faced with some kind of traumatic situation through therapy, they're gonna have to address it. And you know what's gonna come out of that? That what they felt, how they were, traumatized by that. And I bet you, if he is a loving father, he's going to apologize to his kids because he put them through that. Nothing wrong to say that. That's just facts. Anyways,
Yep.
sorry, y'all. Go ahead.
I said, and then once you come out of that psychosis, that you can't, that, like I said, it traumatized a lot of people. I mean, there is a sense of responsibility if he's able to do that. Yeah, and he'll do it if he feels that he needs to, or he's able to mentally, comprehend what happened or whatever. But it was very traumatizing. But yeah, kids could have seen that. We don't know who's seen that. It hit a lot. There's that the internet reaches a lot of people. So go ahead, Alabama Mom. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I do agree with her on that because, like she said, right, like his kids, I literally just said, like, whenever I was a child, I was exposed to my grandmother doing that. And the truth is she didn't apologize. And I kind of, even though she's no longer alive, I kind of hold a little bit of a grudge against it. Like, why would you expose me to that as a kid? I understand mental health is like something that they can't help. But after they get treatment, there should be accountability.
Thank you, Soul Power. I mean, even Soul Power says it. It's like, and it's not that they owe it, but I could see a situation, y'all. Like, I'm just saying, if Perez, let's just say he discharges tomorrow or whatever. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but you guys really think that he's going to discharge tomorrow and he's okay? He doesn't apologize. He doesn't address anything. He just goes back to his celebrity news. Okay, then that's that, right? Is that where we're leaving it at? Do you think people aren't going to troll him or point the elephant in the room? Like, let's be very, if I have God forbid, but it could happen. Something happens to me. Y'all are going to be concerned, right? You guys are going to be like, well, damn, like I was worried. I lost sleep. Whatever it may be, I watch your channel. I feel closer. Like this does happen and it's okay. I don't write the rules and I'm not saying that that's how, all of this is going to go down, but we can acknowledge that, hey, man, ultimately the kids that were, the internet saw it, but the children were in the room. And there is a level of accountability to his children for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
For healing, to be able to
heal.
And for him too as well, because you have to be accountable with yourself and for the people that you were exposed to.
Yeah. And honestly, like knowing what we've known so far of Perez, he's sitting here apologizing for all the things that he's done. He's acknowledged them. He's reached out to people. I don't see him as a person who wouldn't even take it upon himself to talk about this and say, like, this is what happened. Come on, guys. Like, this is somebody who has tried to rewrite his wrongs. He's allowed to do that. Whether you forgive him or not, that's completely up to you. I mean, that's completely up to you guys. But he's apologized times and times again about things that he's done. Okay.
He's been around a long time too.
He's been around a long time. I mean, he is the original person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay to say, like, yeah, we get it. That's up to you if you guys agree to support him, right?
Mm-hmm. And like he said, he's got to do it for his mental health too, to be able to be accountable. You can't just like brush it off, if he's mentally capable, because he won't heal from it if you just like, kind of push it off. Yeah.
Thank you. And this is why I said, like, thank you. Even Vicky's right. Like, I don't care if you apologize to the public, it's the family. That's right. So for me, when I said family, I have family with these mental health concerns, right? And because we're having to, and I'll just be blank, when somebody's having an episode, you literally have to drop everything to be there. That's just how it goes. You could be at a very important situation. You have to drop, because if you don't have anybody else to support the person, nobody else has their back. And so if they're apologetic to me, or if they're willing to engage in a plan in the future to make sure that they're okay, it's okay to accept that apology. It's family, y'all. It's family. And
Just
this is
like
what I
addiction
meant.
too. Yeah, addiction
Yes.
and mental health. It's not just the person in addiction or the person with the mental health that goes through it. The whole family goes through it. So they're going through the whole experience too. You know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, but ladies, I really appreciate your commentary. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna drop you guys because I do have to
Okay.
move on to the D4VD
All right.
stuff.
Thank you,
y'all.
Rabbit.
Hold it out.
Thank you, Rabbit.
Bye.
Thank you. But you guys got me thinking. Thank you. And shout out to you, Alabama Mama, and you too, Infamous. I mean, you guys not, seeking your support, right? And saying, yeah, I was impacted by this. And I'm going to make sure that, I get the support that I need, because that happens. That's like some grown-up shit right there. If something is impacting you, I'll give you guys an example. Covering the D4VD stuff, we're about to talk about it. I told you guys the other day when we were covering, I had to take my Adderall, y'all. And I hate the fact that I have to take it. It's not weakness, right? But I admitted, I was like, guys, that day I had to take it. I had to take a step back because that's what I had to do. But am I weak for that? No. If I cut up and I tell you, oh man, I misbehave, I'm sorry, that's me apologizing genuinely. It's okay to apologize. All right. That's just how I feel. But anyways, separate situation. Okay. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you. Yeah, please note that there are mental health support services out there. You are not alone. Please take the steps to get the help and support if you were impacted by any of the stuff, any of the conversations that we have today, whether it's this case or Perez. Get yourself some help, okay? Because I know that stuff really triggers a lot. But okay, guys, I really want to talk about this last part. Y'all are amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No, I appreciate you guys. And like I said, I want to do more commentary where you guys get to come up and everything. We did, we're running a little bit behind and everything, but we gonna get there. Shout out to everybody. No, don't feel ashamed to get help, okay? And what goes on in your family, only you can understand. Just note that there's people out there that are dealing with a lot. You never know what they're dealing with, right? Absolutely. All right, let's get into this, guys. Shout out to Kadisha Lynn, my wonderful, 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 wonderful supporter here in the chat. Shout out to her, great content creator. Make sure you guys check her out. Let me hit the like button. I'm getting stingy with the likes. She did this breakdown, and I want to talk a little bit about it because we did go into the transcript when it came to the TARP and the DNA, and we learned a lot about it. So let's talk about this. Y'all know I really love her breakdowns because she gets to the point. I struggle with that.
Sure that David forgot that the internet lives forever, even if you try to delete something.
me
Because
get
now
small.
we can place David with the green tarp in his garage that had Celeste's DNA on it. Shout out to the Redditors who have been going back through things that they were.
The green tarp is like more visible than the tarp that was on his Instagram. The picture. I don't know if Marissa's here in the chat. Hold up. Let me pull it because I remember we saw this picture, but that tarp right there, my friends, looks green to me. Hold up. Hold up. Green tarp. Can we pull it? Oh, dang. Did I lose the link? Green tarp. I did. I'll have to find it later. Anyways, the other one looked a little bit more black, but this one's definitely green, guys. Honestly. Here we go.
Released before David actually deleted things on his profile. They found this old video that's now deleted on David's Snapchat of him making these t-shirts again before his album rollout. And this tarp is consistent with the tarp that prosecutors say that they found in David's garage, and this one had a blood stain on it that they ran through forensics that tested positive for the DNA of Celeste Rivas Hernandez.
Snapchat, I got another IV, and we're making the buddy shirts today.
Shut up.
For
Wow.
y'all to buy on D4VD.io.
Okay, I missed this. Do we know the date? And so that he specifically removed this video, right? Because this is where the DNA was found. Do we know the date of this video? You said he made the shirts twice, with the black one and then with the green tarp again. Oh my gosh. Lord have mercy. and the specific details between the criminalists that were interviewing through this. Yeah, this was interesting.
Making them in his garage.
Interesting.
Finito, 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 finito.
Obviously,
You know what's so crazy is like, shout out to Khadijah, but like this video, and I saw another video yesterday. Did I bookmark it? I think I did on TikTok, y'all. And when I saw this video, sorry, I clicked it and it landed on the on Celeste's voice. I like struggled when I listened to that. You have to wonder, tour vlogs day one. You have to kind of wonder, like, okay, you were cool. This child's in the back of your car, dismembered. Like, it was like nothing, like she didn't even exist. I don't know, man. That's the part that I don't get this. I don't get this.
David made these t-shirts before Celeste was actually unalived, but it does make me question if this tarp was used for something because it had this fake blood on it to maybe try to throw the cops off. It is also weird that David's Closet was posting that he was launching these t-shirts. This is from the same exact video, again, for this tour on the day that Celeste was actually unalived. Ain't that weird? The things that he is deleting show him and prove that he was around the things that had Celeste's DNA on it. And after seeing this video of these t-shirts, I looked through David's Snapchat to make sure that this video was not there in his lens. I came across something else that I had questions about, and I find it interesting. We know the next day after prosecutors alleged that Celeste was unalived, David had a album release party. So basically right after, he just kept on going because
completely ignored. It was like nothing.
Because his album was about to release. You can see here's a text message of this album release party being at 100 Thieves. And this is a picture of David at this album release party. And it's hard to find pictures of this because they basically been scrubbed from the internet. The reason I'm talking about this is because I had a big question when I read the transcripts. And it was about David saying to Celeste in these text messages that his parents were at his house. And then he admitted that he lied to her. Celeste was telling him that she wanted proof of his parents being there. She said flights or something. And then David said, they get here on Thursday, which is when you asked to see me. I'm busy tomorrow. And that would be April 23rd of 2025 is what the prosecutor said.
So then, okay. You said he was totally desensitized. Definitely. You said David is fluent in Spanish. Did he communicate with their parents and lie about things? Is David fluent in Spanish? Did he speak other languages? Asia was chilling on that tour. Yeah. I mean, I got the video on cue. You said, can we also mention that? So did, was he fluent in Spanish? I've never heard. You said, just can't wait. Me too. David told Celeste he wanted to meet in person after the Singapore show. Maybe he was going to K her then, but did it in April because she wanted to come over.
I was really focused in on this and wondering if David's parents were around the night or the day after Celeste was unalived. Because we also heard the prosecutor say in her closing arguments that David didn't call 911. He didn't call friends. But
Khadijah, the Discord, do any of the pictures, because you know how they have some pictures in there, Khadijah, of the Discord, right? So like, I wonder, what I find interesting about the Discord, and I do wonder what is going to happen with that Discord. Who is running it? Is this like somebody in his team? Is it going to stay there with all his fans, or are they going to destroy it, or what are they going to do? Are they going to delete it, right? Or take the server down? I like when I looked at the transcripts, one of the things I wanted to do is match what the transcripts say to what is being posted around that time. Because at one point, I remember it was like pictures with family. I think it was like April 25th of 2025. There was one post there. I'll have to look back. But I do wonder, what does the Discord show in comparison to the timelines that have been set out by the prosecutor on the transcripts?
But he maybe called his family, which obviously makes me want to know, of course, what did you tell your family? But also it made me want to figure out, well, were they around right after or that night? During this time frame from April, the night they're saying it happened, Celeste wasn't even dismembered until May 5th, so over a week later. And I'm about to connect.
I'm telling you, she's like, you just wait, I'm about to match something up. Something about working backwards. I don't know what it is, but now we have timelines by the prosecution through those transcripts. And now you have the Discord, all these postings, his social media, because you can't scrub everything. You can't, as much as you want to, you can't really scrub the whole internet, y'all. And like I said, he's an internet kid, right? The internet raised him.
Connect some dots, so stay with me. So we know this 100 Thieves party was the day after Celeste was unalived on April 24th. He posted this video this night of him at this album release party. He's in the same exact outfit, see here in the photo. And this was his next post on Snapchat, and he's in the same exact outfit as the party. And boom, his little sister is right next to him. So now I'm wondering even more what the prosecutor meant when she said David maybe called his parents right after Celeste was unalived, and if they were actually in town. And also shout out to the Redditors for also finding David's now deleted Coachella pictures from 2024. Because we found out in this preliminary hearing that Celeste Rivas Hernandez attended Coachella in 2024 with David. And they also said in the preliminary hearing that Celeste Rivas Hernandez was around David's team. And look who also was at Coachella. His manager, Josh Marshall. Like I said, at this point, David really forgot that the internet lives forever.
And everybody, there's a phone everywhere. There's pictures everywhere. You said it's going to answer over Steve's questions about people being around right after. Oh, I'm clutching my invisible pearls right now. I used to have pearls up here. I don't know what happened to them. Baby Bunny took them. She always takes my pearls.
Or even if you try to get rid of stuff. I think this is one thing that has been super consistent throughout this whole entire case. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Thank you. Shout out to Khadijah. Now, this is the video right here, yo. I was like, let me save this. I'm telling you, I'm like, it's like nothing's going on. Wither tour vlog day 1. Like it's like nothing. Literally with his crew right there. Doesn't look upset, doesn't look sad, doesn't look nothing. See if I have to mute the music. Oh yeah, let's mute the music. Here you go. It's like nothing. Had to get the sound check. They're playing pool. Nothing. Played pool with the gang and I lost. Street Fighter. Tried one of the D4VD do-rags. It's just like nothing, y'all. San Francisco. Nothing phases him. Nothing bothers him. With family, it looks like a fan gave him a lala boo boo. Those things are ugly. I don't like those things. Look at this. It's like nothing, y'all. Oh, hold up. And then he gets funny here. Here we go.
I'm David. You may know me from the Arcane Season 2 soundtrack. I made the song Remember Me. And if you're looking for a new song you can cry to sleep to, but like me, I'm severely depressed.
Hi, yes, mio. Y'all, well, you guys tell me what you guys think in the comments about this whole thing. You know, you said I can't stand him. I can't stand him. Yeah, I mean, weak ass music. So who was David in love with? Aisha or Neo or I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't think he was in love with Jesus. Please mute the music. You said the family definitely helped cover up the relationship. You said, oof. I have a lot of thoughts. I'm just like, I don't even know where to start. Diabolical for sure, right? I don't think he could have cleared up his garage that quick if his family of friends came shortly after. One must have witnessed something. Ooh, shout out to BJ. BJ, how come I don't have a wrench on your set? I gotta get you a wrench, girl. Shout out to BJ in the chat. Look at this. Shout out to BJ. Rabbit, there's a new pic with him streaming with his Trevion Amazon in the background. Or with the account. That's right. That's right. And that's how people were able to match it. The internet does not lie, guys. Literally. You said, I don't think he can be in love with someone else. I don't know. The brain works that way, says Kat. Loved your Perez video. Shout out to you. You said, I've been wondering if he has two personalities, D4VD and then Diabolical One. Doesn't he have another name? Other than the Travion? Maybe? I don't know. All right, guys. Well, I got to go because, listen, I am starving. I got to go, man. I need a steak. I need some carne asada. No joke. That sounds really good for me right now. The anime character, the first one was Google. Now you can see his Amazon account under Travion in another. Oh, my gosh. We're going to have to talk about that one tomorrow, y'all, because I'm exhausted. You know, by the way, I did a little digging into Mr. Jared Leto. That's a video that's dropping here pretty soon that I got like, there's more. There's more. There's more. I wonder why he's never sued any of the accusers. You know, there's more. There's more. I got to say that. There's more. So we're going to look into that. There's more stuff out there about Mr. Leto, you know, so I'll drop that soon. But let me shout out some people. Mi Montes, thank you so much for your jewels. Thank you, love. Jess, thank you so much for the jewels. Thank you, Tina. Thank you for the clapping seal. Nikki, thank you for the flowers. Tina, thank you for the floating heart. Melissa, thank you for the jewels. Who said chill? I will. Thank you. Linzer, thank you so much for the high five. Thank you. Nikki, thank you for the thumbs up. Shout out to you. Tina, thank you for becoming a new member. Shout out to you, love. Thank you. And Christina, thank you for becoming a new member. Yo, y'all became members when I was having my little flipping. Did I flip the tables at my own house? Probably, just for a little bit. I had to set somebody straight. Sometimes you got to flip the tables at your own house, y'all. Don't get mad at me, okay? But I can fix my tables. I can flip them back, put the little, coffee table book, and do what I have to do. Okay. You are allowed to flip the tables in your own house. I have to do that sometimes. No, I got to go I got to go. I got to go eat. All right. I'll see you guys on the next one. Happy Friday, guys. Bye, guys.